with any luck, some of the API stuff might be able to help us with all that I just did. I would like to automate that. All that titling and changing the text and starting and stopping things and getting stuff to work, etc. Twitch message from 8:54 in the morning. Is new car's dash on the steering wheel that's hidden? I don't know what that message is. I don't know what that means. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Nobody's around. Probably a wrong window kind of scenario. All right, so we're all started up and we're on time for once. How's that? How's that? No one's around today. It's Thursday. Yeah, nobody's around yet. Okay, well, it's fine. I'll have fun on my own. I don't need you guys here. All that's starting up. That's that book that I probably need to get and read about mastering audio, although, I mean, I know my stuff. It's just, I have a total lack of confidence in doing audio things, and we got to build that up. We got to build it up, and I've slowly been getting there. I guess it just comes in time, but with any luck, I can bother Ben Gizmo, who has a ton of experience with audio stuff, and is willing to hear me out on a lot of my stupid questions. It's Thursday. We got the fart box, I think, working. Let me test it one more time. Test the fart box. Redeem channel point fart, and we'll set off at number 3. Oh yeah, it still works. Hey, it's been powered on for 24 hours, which is a pretty big milestone for a thing that you built. You know, you got to let it kind of acclimate to its scenario. Mainly, just make sure that it doesn't burst into flames. Kind of holds it. Going to fall like immediately as soon as I bump the desk. And that's our test spot. And then we're going to have to dig out. I want to dig out some solenoid stuff today. I want to actually find out if we can get a solenoid to kick one of these little emotes that Wexo sent in. He's one of about 10,000. I don't know what the actual count of emotes is, but one of my trays, the beer crate trays that I organize my stuff in, I filled it up to the top with these things, and they were packed super densely where they were interleaving with each other. Or no, I didn't interleave them. I actually didn't interleave them. I did pack them super densely, though, to where that I think the subsequent layers do interleave. I forget how I packed them. Let's be honest. I'm gonna wait until more people get here to like tell stories and stuff. Where are we at? I mean, so we're at a place where we finally have our robot working with Twitch. I would like to get it working with YouTube, but as far as I know, the YouTube API system uses like credits, and you have a certain amount of credits that you can use on the YouTube API. And if you have even just like a moderately busy chat, use them all up very quickly. And I'm going to look into that. I'm going to see what kind of like Node-RED chat bot exists in YouTube. If we can get anything similar to the Twitch event sub, then it's going to be super easy for me to just plug everybody in together, and we'll have, the Idealite will work on both Twitch and YouTube. Otherwise, YouTube might just have to be my archiving system. We still have you guys up here with the social stream blade thing. The social stream blade thing requires you to open up your own stuff, your own windows to make it work, right? So I don't want to have to do that, although I could probably make Node-RED do something like that. It's just, I don't know. How would you... Next stream is the 14th. I have a LAN party on Saturday, so I'm not going to be able to attend stream. You guys will have to stream without me. Hopefully you guys will do all right. But I actually get to test out that Legion Go and see if I can game on it. It's still got Windows 11 on it. I'm planning on putting Linux on it because fuck Microsoft at this point. I'm so tired of every single device I have monitoring every single click that I make. I would rather have an OS that is diametrically opposed to that sort of behavior, and everything is starting to really work on Linux now. So, you know, Steam going over to having a huge support for Linux that's mature now. It's, you know, it's fairly old that they're supporting Linux. Most games hopping over there, and then the thing that CyanoCat, I think that's NyanoCat over here, Cyano over there, linked. It's like a GitHub thing that enables Fusion 360 without Wine. Actually, it probably uses Wine. Let's be honest. I don't know. It mentions it somewhere in the GitHub. I don't know how all this stuff works. There's only one way to know, and that's by just plunging myself into it. And I think having a little Linux box would be amazing. And then the cherry on top, I could have, after I bought the CR scan, I found out that through the Fusion 360 creators thing, I could have poked the guy and he might have been able to hook me up with a CR scan for free for sponsorship. Oh well, I spent $200, $300 on that thing. I would like to get that working with the Legion Go, as well as my BMW programming tools, because then I've got a one-stop laptop shop for all the car tuning stuff that I need to do, and any 3D scanning stuff that I can't do at the desk. We can do the steering wheel at the desk, though. We will do the steering wheel at the desk, and we will build up that airbag. I want the airbag still to work. I want to be able to push on that and have it set off the bit for the horn. It is just one bit of the string of bits that we get in the controller, in the game controller. But if we build it properly and build it like the actual Mercedes airbag, which has clip-in things, they pop into something, and when you push on it, it pushes on this big piece of metal that makes all the contacts. So I mean, really, it's meant to be punched by your face or slammed if you're really mad at somebody. These fucking poor people in poor people cars, get out of my rich person way. It's meant to take that abuse, right? So crazy design on all this stuff. This is for anybody who doesn't know. I don't have a good camera on it right now. We built a direct drive force feedback steering wheel using an industrial servo motor and actual car parts. Turns out BMW puts their gas brake, not gas, brake and clutch pedals in like a cluster, all hooked up together with all the stuff on them. The only addition to it would be like a little bit of hydraulic fluid. I decided not to do hydraulic fluid. Instead, I have it going right up against a load cell, which doesn't quite give you that slight squish that you get from a good brake pedal, but it does. I actually made it like a terrible brake pedal, and I put a spring on it. So you have this awful feeling spring, and then the pedal engages, which feels like a bad braking system. A good braking system, it should feel like you're pressing your foot against like a brick wall, right? It should just feel like you're pushing against, not because it's the amount of force is what you're translating. And so if there's squish in that amount of force, you're not getting exactly the right feedback. You're not getting it fast enough, right? This is all just incompressible fluids. So a good brake pedal will feel very solid at the very beginning of actuation. And then when you get tubes expanding and pressures building, then you can get just a little bit more out of it. But we don't have that. We have a janky spring and then a load cell. I like it, though. I like it because it's janky. And then the clutch pedal was just a matter of finding a big enough spring to feel kind of like a fluid clutch. It's close enough. It works pretty well. But those are all just like parts you can buy. And then the gas pedal on these cars, those are a double redundant capacitive rotation sensor. So it's just really, it just gives you a voltage level, so it can go directly into the controller. The steering wheel was a little bit more difficult. We had to do a capacitive angle sensor on the servo, replacing the original Mitsubishi hardware. Then I had to make a coupler so that I basically took a Mercedes steering column, it was $20, and I cut it on a bandsaw, and then we attached it to a coupler to the servo. So now we have a steering wheel. We needed to then make a, what was this thing called? Slip ring. We had to make a slip ring. I did that with the $20 circuit board, or $5 for 5 circuit board things, and made this in Fusion 360, and then we added a couple spring contacts to the twisty bit, and this all bolted onto the coupling for the steering wheel. That got me 3 pins, power, data, and clock out to the wheel. The wheel has all these buttons on it. And all those buttons speak what's called LIN bus, L-I-N. The LIN consortium made this bus so that they could make, I guess, cheaper, less high priority signaling in cars. It's a couple manufacturers that agreed to this, and it's basically a 3-pin interface, so there's very little copper. And we were able to, because the addressing for it is so simplistic, that we were able to brute force what the address of that steering wheel was. We got a packet back out of it, and we can pick out of the packet what buttons are pressed. The only thing I don't know how to do, I really want to look this up and see if maybe we can find some resources on this. There is orange backlighting on that steering wheel, and I really want to be able to turn that on. I want my orange illuminated buttons on that wheel, that Mercedes wheel. I bought the Mercedes wheel because it has paddle shifters. But then we also found a 3D printed car shifter. Actually, I also have from an M3, my buddy's M3. At some point, it was more economical to buy the automatic M3 and swap in a manual transmission, because these cars are platforms, right? They're platforms that have a bunch of different configurations. And so one of the configurations is, well, here's the stick shift one. It just has a different transmission, and then, you know, the cables that shift it are routed to this other thing. So he did that, and he was left with the automatic shifter, which is one of those ones where you can kick it over to the side and go shift up and shift down by hitting it forward and back. So it's a fully contained digital device. Well, it's not, it just flips switches, but it's still a fully contained device. And so I was able to put that on the steering wheel setup, and it felt exactly like driving that car. Problem is, I don't like that. I know that's like rally shifting, but it also feels like I'm in an automatic car pretending that it's not an automatic car. And there were some issues with me forgetting which direction shifted up and down. So it's like, that was really cool, and it really worked with the theme of the rest of the project, but I axed it. I axed it for an actual shifter that is on Thingiverse. We modified it a little bit, got into Fusion 360 to modify it and 3D print it, and it feels very much like my actual car shifter. I kind of did a little tweaking to it. We added some RC car air springs to it, and that gave it kind of a nice fluidy kind of feel. So, good stuff. Save for like buying an entire transmission. I think it worked out pretty well. But the one thing that we're missing in that project is the horn cover. So I'm sitting here with a car that looks like it's just been in an accident. Actually, it would be funny if I just had the airbag flopping around. But anywho, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Thursday. We're going to be doing some stuff with solenoids. So I'm probably going to need power supply leads and stuff. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Maybe I'll make something that you guys can actuate. Hey, Proteus, how's it going? Proteus! I need to move the fan. I'm starting to sweat. Yeah, I really want to get hooked up with the Twitch or the YouTube API at the very least, just so that I can have an on-air light, so I don't accidentally leave stream on for 3.5 hours. I think Thonk gets my connectors in 2 days, so we can do some music stuff too for a little bit. Hey, Long Dog, how you doing? Oh, I'm gonna be burping today. 1 sec. I got a new flavor of budak noodles. They're really super spicy Korean noodles, and these were Thai lime. Like spicy Thai lime. Really good flavor. And I was like, wait a minute, I know this flavor. Where have I, hey, Groovy something, what's up? I'm like, where have I tasted this flavor before? It tastes just like spicy lime Cheetos. Weird. Is FFZ not working for anyone else? I don't know if FFZ is active on the windows that I use when I stream, because I have a different view of everything. Song's actually pretty good. Yeah, I'm not sure. Test this real quick. Still works. I love how easy that was when we finally got everything to work. When you say spicy, do you mean hot? Because some of the more unusual noodle packages have some crazy hot noodles. This is so in my grand flavor palette, the Budok noodles are at my limit. The Budok 2X noodles are at the point where I can't tell whether the noodles are too hot or too spicy. So back it up from there. The 1X is totally fine with me, right? For those flavors. It's flavorful enough, right? And it's got enough spice that I enjoy the noodles very much. And so I think what it is that it's that artificial lime flavor that they put on everything. You know how the lime potato chips and the lime like Cheetos have that particular flavor to it? I think that is what makes the association so one-to-one with those. I've been so surprised that some of these noodles that I haven't purchased are spicy. Oh, of like the yeah. I assume that they can just load those things up with spice, and you've much higher tolerance than I have, because after Budok, I'm not getting any flavors. Maybe that's why the lime was so prominent in the noodles, but I like them. They're delicious. Don't get me wrong, but it really did remind me of the Cheetos flavor. What is my glucose level doing? I went to bed last night, believe it or not. I like Mafalda. I've never heard of that. I went to bed last night, believe it or not, and I woke up at 300 something. I gave a bunch of insulin before I went to bed, and so I was concerned that I might spike low. I had cookies. You know, God forbid I have cookies. I had cookies, and I went to bed probably a little too early because I could have seen the trend and bucked it. But I think what's going on is when I go to bed, I think my insulin pump, the AAPS system, I think it's backing off a lot because it doesn't want to be aggressive at night because it doesn't want to fucking kill me. So I woke up dry mouth, hyperglycemic, mad at the world. Just the worst. I went to bed early too. I went to bed at 2 a.m. All right, that's not that early, but still, I was being moderately responsible, and then I woke up just feeling like complete ass. It's not a good place to wake up. As far as noodle shape, I thought that's what you're talking about in penne. Seems I didn't. At least you pronounced that brand name. I had to look it up. I looked it all over the place because I was calling it Buldak noodles, and I'm like, that's not how you speak Korean. Like, so I had to look it up. I misheard. Yeah, I think that's what happened because we were talking about spice levels. And I was saying that Budok is at my spice level, and then it reminds me of the super spicy lime Cheetos. I don't know why, and I think it's that pervasive junk food lime flavor that they put in a lot of stuff now. These noodles are really, really bad. Take a lot of insulin to counteract them. I was surprised when I learned that recently. I have a routine down. I mean, when I have them, I'm loading them up with egg and stuff like that in order to give them a little bit more protein, so it's not just a ton of noodles. And then I know the amount of insulin that I need to give in order to counteract it. Although I think I lowballed it today, and I probably am missing about 5 units. But I guess the pump will make up for it. And Lord knows after last night how much insulin I actually have left in that fucking thing. It may go off in the middle of stream today, and I'll have to do an on-air pump change. But the thing is, like, I don't have a lot of exposed skin. I can't quite get to where the pumps can go. The closest place is the arms. And so I'm going to have to take my shirt off to do it. So we'll have another awkward pump thing. If that happens, we'll see. When I get those cup of noodles, I want to add a little spice to them. I have some dried pepper powder. Ghost pepper. Holy shit. Scorpion. What do you do? Yeah, do you just like mace yourself for fun? I can't imagine. Okay, Carolina Reaper pepper. I've got to be really careful to, and it goes whoosh, and then I'm just like, I'm dead. I just die. I turn into dust. Dried pepper powder sounds like a really dangerous thing to have. Although in home defense scenarios, I guess it would come in handy. They're like, oh my God, my eyes and mouth and nose. And you're like, I live this shit. It's a long time hobby, and I know virtually all the people in the pepper community on YouTube. That makes sense then, yeah. What's up, lines and squares? My favorite, though, is ghost pepper. Great flavor, and of course it's hot. but it doesn't knock my socks off, but it'll get my attention. That's me with much lower level spices. Much lower level spices. I may know a thing or two about spices. I may not know a person or two about spices, but I do know where my limit is, and you know, it's good. It's nice to have a good strong amount of flavor. Nice to have a challenge out of food. Lord knows I'm not in it for the carbs. But yeah, that new flavor for some reason reminded me exactly like of what do you call it? Lime Cheetos. I gotta figure out this YouTube API. I don't know how other apps get into it. I was watching Uo's Lab 2 days ago, the day before yesterday, and he was complaining about it as well because it's got like a token system where you pay for your API returns, and so getting chat messages is like 100 of your tokens out of 10,000 you get per day. So it adds up very quickly, and you're not able to get your full chat. I mean, I'll probably be able to get my chat because you have like one message every 9 weeks in my stream. But like, if I got more people, which will happen when this thing goes up, it gets tough to figure. It gets tough to divvy out, and so it would be reserved for like super chats and stuff like that. Things I don't normally notice, but I would really like to get that YouTube API into Node-RED, and then we can plug it into all of the other stuff that we have in here that's interactive. Johnny Scoville Jr. from Chase the Heat. Oh, geez, I don't know. I'm not going to name all these names. Jimmy Pickles. That sounds like a detective noir movie. We got Jimmy Pickles. Get him on the scene. Cracks his neck. So this thing right here has given us a framework of functionality that we can put into other stuff. So I can take this guy right here, and I can pull everything out of it. And instead of triggering a fart engine with a Q, we can have it kick a solenoid engine with a Q. I guess it'll have a Q, but. Hey there, buddy. I've been known to speak for at least once a month. All right, I got you pinned. I got you guys wrong. Did we get Hinky247? I think I thanked Hinky247, right? That was 2 days ago. This is how the stream works. Everything's so slow here. And I'm happy for it, actually, to be honest. I can keep up with you guys. Grower of peppers, and he's been working on creating his own pepper. He created the JP Piranha, probably one of the top 5 hottest peppers. See, that ain't me. The burrito hybrid was the highlight of my pepper growing. And actually, it's actually getting to be the season where I need to set up my growery. I have one of those tents that they sell for 3D printers, the ones that are suspiciously like pot growing tents. I have that, and it's got Creality on the front. But I'm gonna turn it on its side, put a bunch of seedlings in there, or not even seedlings, just seeds in little dirt cups, and then I have 2 grow lights to put at the top. Those grow lights are hooked up to one of my configurable Tasmota sockets. That socket in Node-RED, it always comes back to Node-RED. It always comes back to Node-RED. That socket is configured in Node-RED. I like this remix. This is actually a really cool remix of Rabbit in the Moon. On a time, that's not the time. That's my midnight timer. On a day-night hour switch that is hooked up to the GPS coordinates of City Hall, Philadelphia, so that when it is end of morning golden hour or start of evening golden hour, it'll turn the switch on or off, depending on if it's true or false. I guess I could probably just route it directly to on and off for evening and morning, but it's basically, is it daylight hours? I wonder, the second conditional, is that, oh yeah, sunrise and sunset, I guess I could turn to on and off. I did it this way. I could get rid of the switch if I really wanted to, and then just use sunrise and sunset. How did you know? How did you know that it was starting soon? Did you do an API call to my stream? What are you doing to my stream? Ooh, soda was a bad choice. Let me make it clear, I don't do a dance with those crazy hot peppers. They would tear me up even if I could eat them. But in powder form or put into sauces, that's acceptable. I see what you're getting at. The Carolina Reaper has some really nice flavor. The dumbed down commercial version of the Carolina Reaper that they use for some potato chips, I was very pleasantly surprised at the sort of depth of flavor. The fruitiness of that pepper was very good. So I get what you mean. I'm picking up what you're putting down. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, this is our Twitch API node. I'm hoping one day I can, well, other streamers are never going to spend the time to listen to me on this one, but it is really fun once you get these nodes configured because you can peel off topics and functionalities and then build them into your own little sub nodes. I do need to figure out how to make the light flash. That's something that I need to play with to make the light flash so that when we get a subscription, I can make like stuff go off. And maybe we should get some of those yellow spinny lights. If I get a bunch of those yellow spinny lights, I can put them around here, and then when somebody subs, the whole thing, goes into emergency mode. That would be a good one to do. That's a very simple one to do. I just need to find the light itself and for it not to be $1,000. At one point in time, you could buy stuff like that from police auction websites for pennies on the dollar, and it would be funny to put like just a police like light bar up there, but it's not the old school spinny lights anymore. It's the LEDs that blast your retina into space. I was on a long road trip one time, and it was during that Big Apple to Big Easy road trip thing that used to go on. So we were in a really crappy car on a very straight, I think, North Carolina highway. And at the very end, it was not a highway, but just like a road. I think that's what they call highways down there. But anyway, it was just super straight road. And at the end of the super straight road was a cop with more blue lights than I've ever seen a cop ever have. It had multiple light bars basically up the whole back of the car. And it was in dazzle mode. It was just blink, 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 blink. And it's like the middle of the night, and it's a little hazy out. And so it was just, by the time you got to the police car, your head was spinning. We got some of the spinny lights. Spring arrive? Spring arrive. Oh, sitting around and not spring alive. We've got some of the spinny lights sitting around, not springing to life. There's number 4 here, Bothan. How you doing? The part of today that is basic is that we are going to be dealing with coils. Coils are fun. We'll talk about it a little bit when I get started. Yeah, it's endemic. It's one of the results of having LEDs that are that powerful. You don't have incandescent lamps that have kind of a limitation on how bright they get and or dot regulations on them. So you want to make them as bright as possible so that they're as visible as possible so that people pay attention. But then they don't really get to the other part of that equation where they go, but wait, what is the maximum limit that I should be worried about? Instead, it's, I'm putting the best LED I can into this thing and it's going to blow up. Like, it'll blow up your retina. Typo, I meant to say sitting around, not springing. Oh, I see. You have a bunch of them sitting around. I don't know where I can get ones that aren't going to be super cheap. Because everything's going to be like super duper duper cheap, isn't it? And by cheap, I mean poorly built. It's probably going to be just as expensive as getting like an old school one. But instead it's going to be made out of real shitty plastic for like Spencer's Gifts. So I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. Finished first dinner, and now I'm just big chillin'. How about you? I just had a new flavor of burak noodles for lunch, because we're on different parts of the planet, for lunch, and they were delicious. They also reminded me of those chili lime, super spicy Cheetos, which is strange. I think it's a result of the fake lime flavor. Yes, everybody talks about, have you seen those LED headlights these days? And yes, I have. I feel like I'm the only person who is polite. Remember, no, actually, probably very few of you were here for that. A long time ago, we did a bunch of streams where I modified my BMW's headlights to use LED headlights. But there's a caveat to that. I was actually careful. LED headlights. People putting new headlights into incandescent headlights or halogen headlight housings have to be careful about where that light source is coming from, because instead of a point source of light, you have a little line where the filament is, and all that light's coming out from it radially. And that radial light has been caught by all of the lenses in the headlight housing in order to steer that light safely out in front of you and not blind everybody to death. That's why when you put in like a projector light into a halogen housing, all bets are off because it's coming from a different place and all the reflections are off. Well, that originally was a factor of LED headlights, because they used to be just a bunch of LEDs wrapped around a little cylinder, and it came from everywhere else that it's not supposed to. Nowadays, the LEDs are so powerful that they're putting a little line of LEDs where that filament would sit. And even low and high beams are where the low and high filaments would sit. So the aiming is on par with the original headlights. There's some caveats. It's not completely radial from the location of the filament. So there's like dead spots in the housing reflection. But the light that I get from it is completely even. So I get even light. I don't get light scattering anywhere that it shouldn't. It's not going up, which is really the important part. I was able to aim my headlights just right. And then we spent time with theater gels. And I probably could have just used this stuff, Captain Tape, but we got theater gel, and I got orange theater gel. And we put 2 layers of it, I think. 2 layers of orange theater gel on those LED headlights. And what that did is it lowered the color temperature to about 43 to 4600 K, which is the color temperature of the lights around here. It's just got a little tiny bit of warmth to it. It's not blue, it's not purple, it's not yellow, because those things actually came with those. They came with light filters that would make it yellow. But so now my headlights look like completely normal headlights, totally normal halogen bulbs, but they're actually LED. So, but I had to put in a lot of work to get that to properly happen. So, and then every now and then the headlight will fall out of the housing, and I start getting people flashing the brights at me. Whoops. Some of the LED headlights also use laser diodes with a phosphor layer to produce a crisp white light. That seems a little bit less safe, given all the limitations on lasers. Talking about that with my buddy, it's like lasers are severely, like if you have a consumer product with a laser, it used to be that you would be class 3 at the very beginning of any kind of usable power out of the laser. Nowadays, though, all bets are off. Everybody, laser, it's super powerful, blah, blah, blah. They're totally out of control, actually, and dangerous. Lasers are quite dangerous these days. Everybody forgot about the class system for lasers. Lifted trucks are so common back in Texas. I don't see them as much up here. Oh, we get plenty. I saw a huge one pulling out of our neighborhood just a minute ago, walking the dog. Like, how does my dog, what does she think of these things? Like, she's like this tiny little thing, and this truck is the size of a garage. Oh, it's absolutely Pavement Princess, because that thing was shiny as hell. There was no dirt on the whole thing. For some reason, people love to lift their truck around here, where the closest off-road place is about 2 hours away. Mall crawlers. Yeah, mall crawler, Pavement Princess. Small pee-pee mobile. You just reminded me I met your dog. Oh, in a dream. I was like, when did you meet Willow? How does she get around more than I do? Because I've had people in this neighborhood, people have met Willow and not me, and I'm the one that's walking her 99% of the time. They'll come, oh, it's Willow. Hey, Willow. I'm like, I don't know this person. Willow, you got to tell me who these people are. met her in a dream. Well, I hope she was sweet like she is here, because she's a very sweet dog. She got to see her BFF, which is my gun buddy, yesterday, and she was just flirting with him. It was sick. It was disgusting to see. Oh, they're doing mulch here. The uh, the benefits of living in a little tiny neighborhood is everybody pitches in for the landscaping, and they're here. So I don't have any say over when they're here. They're here for the next couple days. Maybe they'll be done with our area by tomorrow. But there's going to be a little bit of leaf blower noise outside while we work on this stuff. Hopefully, it doesn't kick up too much dust, because I was coughing earlier because all the grass clipping smell stuff and all the dust that the leaf blowers are kicking up got in, and it just got into me, and blah, nasty. She was super nice. I was napping and she laid down next to me. She doesn't do that as much as you would think. She's a guard dog. She takes it upon herself to guard you, and so she'll sit at your feet or she'll sit nearby. When she was a puppy, she did that a lot, though. Oh, she's barking at people outside. Yeah, she's guarding. She's guarding. She's barking at people outside. We didn't teach her to do that, by the way. That's not learned behavior. That is instinctual behavior from her. She just decides, like, you know, for instance, a lot of people walk dogs in the neighborhood, right? So at some point, you end up having a lot of people who walk dogs in the same place, and they're talking in like a circle, and the dogs are running around and saying hi to each other. And so when we do that, Willow oftentimes will go just outside of where everybody is and sit facing away from everybody and looking out, because she's guarding everybody. Oh, this is, what's his name? This is a good song. It's, who are those guitar guys? Damn it, I forgot the name of the... Nope, I lost it. I completely lost it. I know the band that did the music in the background, and I used to know the rapper. I can't remember any of it anymore. Why do you mind introducing me to those guys? Ooh. I know it if I saw it. It's going to drive me nuts. I'm going to change the subject. I hate that. I did that several times yesterday, where I was like, I know what I want to say. It's gone. It's just been completely overwritten, or the neurons just will not connect and give me that information. I know it's in my brain. I just can't find the pathway to it. Maybe start to wonder if there's something wrong with my brain. It's going to come to me in the middle of the stream. I'm just going to blurt it out. I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up. I don't have any of the information. Oh, is it Pursuit of Happiness? Be fine once I get it. I'll be good. Song. Pursuit of Happiness, Nightmares. Kid Cudi. That's right. Kid Cudi. And then who's doing the... No, that can't be MGMT. No, it's MGMT. I didn't think... No. Is it MGMT who that is? I thought it was a different name. No, it's featuring MGMT. I guess that's MGMT. I was 10 when this song came out. When was this posted on YouTube? Wait a minute. December 8th, 2009. Whoa! Old song. Welcome to Bother's Golden Oldies. Holy shit. We're not allowed to look up the date of things that we like anymore, okay? We don't want to put a year on any of it anymore. We'll just continue on with our heads in the clouds, going, I remember when that came out. That's a good song. Instead of going, oh no, that was a number that's not even close to today's number, this year's number. It's all comes back to numbers. Damn these numbers. Wow, it is quiet today. Is it me? It's probably because I didn't stream. Should have streamed yesterday, and it might have kept momentum going with people. But I had a range day planned because my buddy and I have been meaning to go to the firing range for a century. Always back and forth. Yeah, we should do that. We should do that soon. We should do that soon. We should do that soon. Soon is not a day in the week, and so we finally just put a date on it and said, all right, Wednesday, and we're gonna go. So turns out the range that's sort of nearby me is very nicely set up, and I was worried that there was nobody there, but I mean, we went there, in the morning on a Wednesday, so around noontime, it didn't fill up, but a bunch of people showed up. So definitely is a pretty popular place. I'm thinking I'm going to go back there because it's clean, safe, and it reminded me a lot of the one that I used to go to. So they have these little remote control carts that go back and forth to give you the distances, and then you can have them like flip out the targets if you want, all kinds of good stuff. The only problem is these. I got glasses. Without the glasses, at about, and the targets were in yards. I really wish it was in meters. At about 10 yards, which is sort of a happy spot, it's just a blur. The target's a blur for me, and I can kind of make out color, but that's it. So now I have to get schwanky, expensive prescription inserts for safety glasses. Great. Feels a little schwank, doesn't it? And I got to take the inserts to an optometrist because the places online that automatically do the lensing for you, they don't have those inserts. So womp womp. And my friend insisted that I get a particular type of safety goggle instead of me just going like to get a generic one. Because they seem to have impact resistant safety goggles, but he was like, that's not ricochet rated. So like he was very insistent that I do that. So all right, yeah, might as well. It just means I got to go to an optometrist, which I don't look forward to. We've been doing this for 40 minutes. We might as well get started working on something. Also, this song is a little bit annoying. It's sort of the wrap-up song for it, so we might as well just give it the axe and lower it down. How's everybody doing today? It is Thursday. I've had a Wednesday to not think about streaming or designing musical stuff, and I needed that. It turns out that I really needed it because I slept like a baby last night. Actually, I think part of the reason that I slept like a baby last night is that you guys don't know this, but we had my aunt visiting, and she was backing her car up sort of in front of our driveway, and she ran into a light pole, and the light pole was partially knocked down. And they fixed the light pole, and we paid for it. My aunt, of course, probably didn't give us a dime for that, but the light pole was fixed, but the sensor on the light pole was not. And so that light remained on pretty much from that day forward. Why is this relevant? Well, my bedroom faces the driveway, which has that light pole in it. And even with the blinds closed, there's just a little opening where that street light goes right into my face when I'm sleeping. Not good at sleeping in light scenarios. So I think I've been sleeping better because that light is broken. So don't tell anybody that light is out. Don't you dare snitch. So anyway, yeah, so I got, good sleep and all that stuff. Had a day to not think about doing this stuff, and we're back and we're fresh. And so I'm thinking that today I want to do something a little bit more simple, right? Oops, somehow that light got a small hole in it. Did anybody hear all that noise? It sounded like somebody hit a hammer against something. Weird. With a little bit of like a gas escaping. I'm gonna cough. Anyway, let's do something a little bit more simple today. I was watching Uo's lab, and I saw he was doing the transistor, or what is that? It's like a giant FET of some kinds, like a MOSFET, that wiggles your voltages, and you put it through a giant copper coil, and you can make an inductive heater out of it. Well, those circuits are very similar to what we kind of want to look at today if I'm going to make something that will kick these emotes at me. We want to look at solenoids, coils. Coils are just wire wrapped around something ferrous. They can even just be wire wrapped around in a circle. Call that a coil. You can call it a ferrite. You can call it a choke. Whatever, pick your pleasure. Electromagnetism is one of these technologies that mankind knows really, really well. We know electromagnetism extremely well. We even know that if you have voltage running in one direction, you're going to have a magnetic field running in another. If you coil that around something, you're going to have is it a multiplicative or is it additive? I forget what the equations look like, but you basically are getting more and more magnetism into your thing. Coils have some really weird properties where if you apply power to it, you need to put power into the physics of creating that big magnetic field that you're creating. So you got all these wrapped around coils, you put the power into it, you have some kind of like a lag until you've actually fully run power through the whole, before your power on the outside of the coil comes back up, because that energy is going into the physics of creating a magnetic field. We know that in the presence of a coil, if you change that magnetic field, you're going to induce voltage. So if you suddenly cut off that voltage, there's still a magnetic field inside of that coil, and it has to dissipate. And so that magnetic field is going to start dissipating in your coil, and you get a sudden reverse spike in power. So you get this huge negative spike when you do that. Well, if you put that through the right electronics, like a capacitor to store it, you can actually make something that turns up the voltage by flicking power on and off into a coil. Cool stuff. The only problem is the things we have to switch the coils on, if we're doing something like trying to do actual work with the magnet, if we're trying to attract a piece of ferrous metal in order to flip a switch, then we still have to deal with that huge dissipation of reverse current. So the way to get around that is you put a check valve on it. As much as I hate that analogy, a diode is like a check valve. So if you have voltage running in a particular direction, it'll allow, and a particular amount, it'll allow it to go through. If you have it in the opposite direction, it'll block it. So you put a diode in reverse on that coil. So we got to do all this stuff and then figure out how we're going to flip the switch on it. And we need to do that with very little voltage into a lot of voltage. So we're also going to be dealing with transistors. So simple-ish kind of stuff. I don't want to do a Physics 101 presentation today, but we can get all of this running on like the miniature breadboard. I think I see it over there. Actually, we need to find it. We need to find all this stuff. I have all this stuff in the shop. We do stuff like this all the time. Used to. So if I can find all the stuff, we can get this together pretty easily, and I can maybe look up some diagrams so that it looks a little bit easier than it is. And we'll see if the solenoids that I have in mind have enough force to kick this thing at me with any particular velocity. And if it does, that's a big ask. If this thing is able to actually kick, then we can, first of all, hook it up to the API, hook it up to chat so that you guys can control it, and then also start to think about 3D printing an enclosure for something like that. So I thought we would do that today. It's nice and simple. Keep it stupid simple. What do we got up here? Let's see. We'll have to do some sponsored streams soon too. Not really have to, it's just that I'm getting a little antsy about some of these projects that haven't really come to fruition. And I've got a lot of PCB design to get through, which is a little dry for you guys. PCB design is a little dry, but we got to do it. You guys can see me lay traces down in a not weird way. Not in a weird way. Don't make it weird. What is this thing? Oh, this came with some airline stuff. Like airlines. For like bicycles. Yeah. Weird. Put that in the drawer. Okay, where did the breadboard that I put a piece of gaffer tape on the back go? Because that's the best one that I've got in miniature form. There it is. I see it. I see it. We haven't used it in so long that it is under the BMW turn signal. a random pretty beefy solenoid with bellows. I should hit up Flatulent Gonad. He's the one who has all that kind of stuff. Yeah. He's got all that bellows stuff, all those big solenoids. I don't have a beefy solenoid. It's a very personal thing to admit, actually, to be honest. I don't know if I should tell chat about my beefy solenoid. I don't have a big beefy solenoid. I have a couple that have been in a drawer for a while that might actually kick hard enough. I'm hoping they do anyway. I don't need like a super duper one, do I? Well, we'll find out. We'll find out. Typically, in my experience with these things, they're a lot more powerful than you think. If we can catch Gonad during his waking hours, which God knows what those are tied to, I think he's got like a true... We could probably make a true random number generator based on Gonad's sleeping habits. Those are all switches and stuff, which we might need. How am I going to trigger this thing and just trigger it for a moment? Well, let's get that solenoid out here first, and then we'll figure the rest out. We'll figure the rest out later. Are those solenoids? No. Where are they? I think they're in here. I've had them in these drawers for so long that I don't know if I'm going to recognize them when I come across them. And maybe they're in this one. Because I see them so often when I'm looking for parts that it's possible that my brain is just going to tune them out. So we gotta keep ourselves, we gotta keep on our toes here. I got the nameplate for a Bora, which is the the European version of the Jetta. Here they come. Here are the leaf blowers. Ah! It's gonna get loud for just a minute here. You guys can probably hear that, right? I'm on the pursuit of happiness. I know. Let's go. I'll be fine. Let's get it. I'll be good. Where are they? All right, so let's start going through this multiple times, looking for these solenoids that I have. They're blue. They have blue on them. Blue on the solenoids, and they got like a little plunger tip. Don't tell me I was hallucinating when I was like, you know what? I've got solenoids. We've definitely got solenoids. Was I lying to myself? Not in there. Those are all connectors. Let's check. I fucking tell the Ring. I tell the Ring thing, hey, don't give me alerts for 2 hours, and then it immediately gives me a bunch of alerts. I swear, all the controls that you have on that thing are just performative. Let's see. So that one is like the super derelict one. They're not there. The other would be an alternative location. Here's 2 super caps. I've never had to use for super caps. No solenoids. Okay. Come on, man. You're not a no solenoid having bit maker. You have solenoids. You know you do. This is all music stuff. It's all music stuff. Possibly formerly housing solenoids. It might be buried in the corner. They might be buried in the corner, or they could be in some of this stuff. Sitting on, giant metal plates. Smartwatch stuff. I don't know if I'm ever going to get around to the smartwatch stuff. That stuff my brother sent me, and I was like, I don't know about this stuff, man. It's kind of weird. I don't know how I can do a full takeover of one of these like bespoke fitness watches, because they're kind of cool, but like I'm not going to get that deep into UI software. Let's see. So where in this grand collection of parts would a solenoid end up? You know what? I think they are in sort of the bins that are back there, because more electromechanical stuff kind of goes there. There's 2 of them, and they're blue with like a brass bracket on them, and they've got this black plunger with a spring. I don't know where they're not in the microcontroller stuff, right? No, they're not on the microcontroller stuff. They wouldn't be there. I don't think I killed them when I organized last, but they would have been on the chopping block because we haven't had any use for something like a solenoid in ages. Ages and ages. The real use that I want to do with a solenoid is make something that'll play a hang drum. Put the solenoid magnet against the metal and vibrate the metal with it. Not strike it using a sudden burst, but vibrate it. That'd be really cool. All right, so we're going back here. Way back into the unknown zone in the corner there. This is like longer term storage stuff. So if I'm correct about the location of these things, let's put these screws away. Yeah, finding parts is sometimes the hardest thing about doing this stuff. I know I've got something to do XYZ. Oh, this is a really heavy one. This one's full of end mills. That's not. Oh, I want to. There you go. Now more BMW parts. And get a better angle and all that. All right, so that's not where the solenoids are. Genuinely some weird end mill stuff though from estate sales. All right, close that tight so it doesn't puke out all its contents the next time I move it around, and then get the next one down the line without catching these wires here. Okay, this one might actually have something. So old drill parts, including gear reduction. Oh, planetary gear reduction stuff. Look at that. That's so cool. I don't know how to operate it. I can't get it to spin. It's an overly complicated mechanism that I don't know if I'll have any use for. Oh, and then printer parts. Printers might have a couple solenoids in there. These are from that printer we took apart. Like little universal DC motors. We've got a little air pump gears. Let's see, that one is a GoPro protector. Ardu Pilot? What is that doing in here? Why do I have Ardu Pilot? Printer parts. Is anything solenoid related? No, nothing. No, these are all sensors and stuff. There's some cool things in here. I don't know if we'll be able to use them on any of the printer projects. Look at the lever with a spring. That's pretty cool. I don't think I'll have a use for an air pump anytime soon. All right, so that one was a bust. Don't tell me I threw out these solenoids that I wanted to use, because those were going to be the star of the show. Wait! Over here. Did I put them over here? In this one? I have so many different places to store things that I lose track. Not in there. This one? What do we got going over here? Nope, not in there. The thing is, like, I have memories of seeing these parts in these locations. But it's just my addled brain making shit up. My brain is a singular, unstoppable misinformation machine. Is my arm in the way? My arm's in the way, sorry. Arm is in the way, my lighting is terrible. No. I need my extra light here. God, this is blowing up my knees. All right, no, those are printer parts. Let's check all the way in the back just to be sure. Nothing. It's not those. All right, so it's probably not in these then. Yeah. And then nothing there, no. Nothing in here, no. These are decently sized too. Like, I know I have them. It's just a matter of figuring out what what cubby hole I shoved them into. All right, let's go back over here. Would they be in the old Octoj parts bin? I don't think so. I don't think they're in there. No, those aren't quite the right kind of parts. I do have that antenna PCB where I could do ADS-B and actually show flights that are nearby, but that's a little doxing. How about you? Your audio connectors. These are like big audio connectors. Yeah, 1/8" plugs. Oh, some 1/4 inches in here too. And these RCAs. Nope, that's all. Most of this is audio related. What are those? What is this? Wait a minute. There's like a weird circuit board down here. Oh, this is from a backup camera. Why do I know that? Why do I know that? All right, moving on. We're going to find this. We're going to find it. I thought it would be way easier to find, but we're going to find it. I just need to know what would I do with a little kicker solenoid that I've had for ages and ages. RC car stuff, or sorry, airplane, drone stuff from so many years ago that I might as well just throw out this whole bin. There's very little that's useful in here. Although, actually, this could have been useful for the car project. All right, all right. Everyone's a critic. Do we talk about what I was doing with a button on a singular wire? Ba-boom. No, they're not in here. They're not in here. These are propellers that'll hurt you if you get caught in one. Darn. Okay, so struck out again. So I gotta think, if I had a little kicker solenoid somewhere, what would I do with it? Because I don't think I got rid of them. They're not gonna be in the tiny RC car parts. In this one. Oh my God, look at all that dog hair. Oh, jeez. She barely even comes down here, and yet I'm still inundated with dog hair. One day, I mean, if push comes to shove, we could try to put a roller on one of these motors. These are like the super duper Nerf motors that are made with rare magnets, and they use like tons of power and amperage to spin brutally fast. These scare me. I don't like these at all. But if we really wanted to, we could spin up a roller and then have this drop the hammer on the roller, and then it would fling the emote out at an incredible speed. I don't really want to get injured. I don't want to get injured. And then down here we have all of the tiny RC car parts. I don't think I kept. No, those big solenoids were nothing like any of this stuff. So they would not have ended up with all of this. Oh yeah, I remember making this. This is a drone antenna, and I tuned it with lab equipment that the FBI owned. But yeah, it's a neat little antenna. How does this fit in here? I can't fit it back in. Okay, no solenoids though. Where's my solenoids at? Oh, I know there's one down here. I know there's one from a vinyl cutter in the bottom of this one. Oh, I should have put on knee pads. I'm hurting. What are you guys saying up there? Oh, oh, digging in Bother's boxes. Yeah, well, Bother's got to get his legs back. Whew. Good to know my tax dollars are going to good use. It was after hours. It was after hours. I needed a SWR machine. Wait a second. Oh, no, they're not in here. I remember... I'm flooded with memories about a bin that had a bunch of those in there. Bunch of solenoids. Are they under things in this water cooling bin? Oh, look at this. I found some tantalum capacitors that shouldn't be here. Where are they? Wait a minute. Where did the tantalum capacitors go? Hold on a second. You're wearing my favorite shirt? I like this shirt. I shouldn't wear it with jeans, though, because it's too much blue. Too much blue, but it's one of my favorites to wear with khaki. It's got a lot of good color in it. I'm talking with my mother about like buying shirts because it's just something that I was doing when I was talking to her on the phone, and she was like, you should get this jacket in black. I'm like, no, I want to wear color. I want to stand out. I'm like the anti-Julian. Julian always wears black everything. You have the same shirt? Nice. Honestly, tuning hobby drone antennas is one of the preferable options. Oh, for your tax dollars? Yeah. It wasn't your tax dollars at work, though. It was your... Well, I guess you could probably boil it down to that, huh? I guess you could probably boil it down to that. All right, what are you guys? 10 volt, 47 UF. 10 volt, 47. 10 volts is dangerous for the synthesizer stuff because we're dealing with plus minus 12. We work in plus minus 10, but that means your caps need to be more than that. So these, unfortunately, are not that useful to me, but I'll still throw them over there so that they don't get back into this. This was the bin where I had all of the solenoid stuff. And actually, yeah, there's 2 solenoids here underneath these caps. But they're not the ones that I was looking for, and I don't know where the ones that I was looking for ended up. They might be in the bottom of the bin that we're about to look at, but these might be our only option, and I don't think they're going to have enough power to kick an emote out. So maybe we have this set off a spring mechanism. I don't know how we reset the spring mechanism. That's for Future Bother to worry about. That asshole, he can figure it out. He does everything. And just to be sure, yeah, this is definitely the bin where I used to have all that stuff. So is it under things? Doesn't look like it. That's unlikely. Not very likely. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, no, I don't see it. I moved all the water cooling fittings into here just so I had a place for them. It wasn't a VNA, no, it was an SWR meter on a portable piece of equipment. It was a portable thing that also had SWR capabilities. Pretty cool little piece of equipment, and I wanted to get one. They were like $800, because it's nice to have portable SWR. Standing wave ratio is when you, again, using physics, you send energy into your antenna, and you look at the frequency where the energy dips out. Because the energy dips out when the antenna resonates and sends out radio waves. So you tune your antenna's distance length, tune the antenna's length so that that trough in energy is centered around the frequency that you want the antenna to operate on. Simple stuff, just harder in execution and harder in explanation. It's that whole thing, like the higher in academics you go, sometimes the simpler the principles get suddenly. It's like, oh, that all makes a lot of sense. And it's very simple. Let's see if it's in this first before I go any deeper. I'm going to search here, and then what was I going to do? I had a really good idea. Oh, and then the bottom of that circuit board thing, because I know that there's a big solenoid in there for the vinyl cutter that my friend gave me that was full of cat piss. Whoa, 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 we almost... I almost jettisoned some heavy bins. These need a better home. These are all Maker Beam or 80/20 beam parts. That's my sewing kit. I was going to use the sewing kit to put a conductive wire on my desk chair because it has horrible static problems. When I get up to go somewhere, my monitors blank out. It's not a good scene. It's not a good scene. I think it's static buildup in the cylinder itself with the pressure difference of a giant fat ass suddenly not being on there. When I'm sitting down, that thing's sitting happy at 10,000 PSI. or whatever that equates to, and then all of a sudden it drops to nothing. And so those molecules make a bunch of static electricity, and monitors go, oh my God, a voltage change, and like disconnect. Like, oh my God. No solenoids, the skull speaker. Oh God, don't remind me of the skull speaker. My failed, terrible attempt at building a simple speaker, but making it look like a cyberpunk skull. And I did the whole, build a megaphone out of a working megaphone thing, because I already had a working speaker, but it was Bluetooth and a little bit annoying to use. But we gutted it, and I was going to use it as a simple speaker, just a, normal input, normal old speaker. But every time we tried that circuit, it just failed again. Very, very obnoxious. How do you say annoying? So this is the pile of derelict circuit boards, and this is a thing that all of you should have. When something breaks and it's pretty much irreparably broken, oh God. Okay, let me let my diaphragm catch up to the rest of me so that I don't hiccup in the middle of a sentence. Okay, if you have a bunch of electronics and you do stuff with electronics, and you figure that you might want to solder stuff one day or learn a new technique, etc., 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 keep things that break, that don't fix. And then you will find yourself with all kinds of sources of a variety of different soldering jobs. If I wanted to do something BGA, I've got modern circuit boards here. This is, unfortunately, the VFD is completely broken on this thing. The end of the thing broke off, and so this has been exposed to atmosphere, which is a shame because it's a really cute VFD. It's got a lot of cool little doodads in it. This is a good source for buttons if I ever run out of buttons, but this is a CDJ device. I got BMW parts, monitor stuff, game controllers, and at the bottom of it are some derelict mechanical things from the vinyl cutter. The vinyl cutter was the original donor for Burn the Subs. That's where all the parts were being sourced from. Here's our buddy right here. This is it. This thing will drop a vinyl cutter blade down onto whatever it's operating on. It's kind of heavy, and it's got roller mechanisms on it, I think. But this is probably going to be the source of our solenoid, pending my finding those two that I was looking for. I don't think I'll find. This is a speak and spell. I would love to gut out the speak and spell and get that to be the voice of something. But it turns out, in order to get a speak and spell to speak and or spell, it requires quite a lot to get into. Oh, these are for my brewing setup. I didn't know I still had some. Must have had extras. What else is down here? All kinds of cursed stuff. I don't see any solenoids down here. Oh, a nipple. Can I show that on? I can show that on Twitch. It's a nipple mouse. That was a thought of mine, was to put this into a joystick so that you would have a nipple mouse on the joystick. But I don't really feel much of a need to, although it's a cool little mechanism that uses micro electromechanical devices, a little weight sensor, force sensor, if you will. And as you move the nipple mouse, it doesn't actually move. It just microscopically bends, and those MEMS devices pick up on that. How's the UV 2D printer going? I have not done anything on that project, but I do think about it often. I would really like to get that one sort of underway, but I don't know what is broken about the printer that I bought. It's like, oh, muscle cramp, muscle cramp, muscle cramp. Welcome to diabetes, muscle cramp. Whew, that hurt. I don't know what's broken about that printer. That printer seems so, like, completely messed up. It is in dire straits. It shoves the paper into the back of it, and then the paper crumples up, and then it ends up not printing. It's like, how do I fix that? Because we were supposed to start with a regular printer, figure out what all of the different switches and levers and buttons were to get it to run a piece of paper through, and to clock the speed of the piece of paper, and then mimic that with a microcontroller so that when we run a printing routine, we can have a linear bed go through the printer and get ink deposited on it. And if we can do that, then we can strap something like a front panel to it, and we can have it print labels onto that front panel in ultraviolet sensitive ink, which I would have to source, which is difficult but not impossible. Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. Rolling around on the ground. Bad for the knees. So I don't know where those two blue solenoids went. They had springs on them. They had little brackets on them. Yeah, VFDs are awesome, and we're going to be using more of them in the near future. How's it going, Rendog Cap? Okay, sit for a minute, get my head about me. This thing I'll keep over here. I don't know what the interface is on it, though. This little MEMS device. So yeah, these are just a resistive element that's wrapped around a post. I believe that's how these work. Actually, I don't know. This one might be a little different. Yeah, it's from an old IBM laptop. The cool part about this generation of IBM laptop, I don't know what year it was particularly. I don't think they put markings on the board. Oh, maybe there's a date code in there. Yeah, from 1266, sorry, that's totally different. Yeah, from 1266, the monks were using these. And it, the circuit board for this device, like the main motherboard for the laptop, had all kinds of devices on it that were not ASICs. They weren't application specific. Well, they were kind of ASICs, but you could look up the part numbers and see what the various elements of it were doing. So there was a chip on there that was specifically a chip that uses diodes in order to measure temperature. And it fanned out to a whole bunch of different devices on the motherboard. It was really cool. It wasn't like an internal chip sensing temperature sensor. It was its own thing that you could call on in order to get those temperatures. Very cool. Because for me, I could harvest parts out of it and do like cool little projects. I never really got totally underway doing that, but it was a neat thing to explore. Okay, so this is probably the only solenoid that we're going to end up finding, unless there's one hidden in here. No. I do not know what happened to those two things, the other ones that I had. Solenoids is a fancy way to say coil. It's just a coil that's supposed to do some kind of mechanical work. A relay contains a solenoid. A motor, I don't know if you could call a motor a solenoid. I don't think you really could, but yeah, back when ThinkPads were made by IBM. So this is the birth of Burn the Subs, started with this device. This was a vinyl cutter, and it contained a bunch of stepper motors, and it was pretty cool. This is the mechanism that sort of drops the hammer. You would adjust this blade, and this blade is able to sort of twist around and cut wherever the cutting head is, and then it would be lowered by a solenoid mechanism. So here's sort of a linear bearing, and then we have a solenoid on the back of it here that would, yeah, basically attract this this rod that's going into the back of it. Not that complicated. It was click on, click off. And I've cut the leads. Got a big ground lug, and then we have the two the two coils right here. So what I can do, and I don't know if I'll be able to find a flyback diode. We might just go flybackless at first. Okay, solenoid refers to the arrangement of axially wrapped wire. It doesn't even need to have a mechanical component. So a solenoid is just an axially wrapped electromagnet. Simple as, all right. I remember when I used to get interrupted in the middle of doing a bit by the fart box. I remember now. The rage is starting to build up inside of me. That freaking thing is always interrupting me. Why is this here? I guess that just keeps it from twisting. You got a bearing on each end, and then this thing's putting just a little bit of pressure down onto those bearings, and it keeps it from twisting the whole assembly. Blame Twitch. I came in and Twitch said, fart with your 2,000 points. Oh, God. It's going to do reminders like that? That's pretty funny, actually. Oh, this looks over-tightened. Yeah, so this is all just about adjusting and getting the distance to the cutter right. And then the cutter just kind of does its thing and trails around as this thing traces it. The friend with a vinyl cutter was very, very cool. I think he moved to Florida, and I haven't spoken to him in too long because nobody's on Google Messenger anymore. Nobody's on Google Messenger anymore, so don't talk to this guy. It's unfortunate because he was a good friend. He is a good friend. But he was the one that gave me this when his old one broke. He would cut all the vinyls for the Big Apple to Big Easy cheap car rally. Get a cheap car and go on a road trip with it, essentially. So had a lot of seat time making some cool graphics for it. But we have the coil here, so let's get the coil out of this stuff and figure out what's going on up here. I don't know if I can reverse this, but we could always have it. I mean, these would probably be better for actually creating or like unlocking a mechanism, and a spring mechanism will flick the emote away. I don't know if we're going to do it that way, though. I would rather the solenoid just kick it. So maybe we can hook it up to a lever so that when it pulls, it'll kick. We don't need all this mechanism. We can use our own. No need for a cutter. Just zip tie a knife to your printer and good to go. I could use this on my 3D printer if I really wanted to. Then I would be able to use the professional blades in order to cut vinyl. But I'd only have 300 by 300 millimeter. My buddy with the vinyl cutter was able to put big sheets through this thing and do like car-sized graphics. Yeah, we're going to throw the 3D printer emotes, these guys that Wexo sent in. Wexo, friend of the show, Wexo. For a long time, Wexo's been going well above and beyond the Call of Duty to like send me stuff and buy things for the show. He doesn't have to do that. He does it because he just wants to do it. I don't want him to do it, but I can't stop him. And one of the things I cannot stop him from doing is printing out like 1,000 of these. Literally, I think 1,000 of these 3D printed emotes and sending them to me in a big box. I'm not saying he shouldn't have done that, but I think maybe the volume of stuff that I have now is something I don't know what to do with. Right? So this is me trying to figure out something to do with these emotes. And as an extension, say thank you for putting in the effort to Wexo. Maybe temper the effort a little bit next time. Love you, man, but geez. So what we're going to try to do is make something that flicks the emote basically in my face, likely from the face cam. I would like it to, we'll explore it a little bit first. I want it to be sort of an aimable and reconfigurable device, but I would love to have it so that in this view, if somebody spends channel points, or if they, spend channel points, this thing will kick over to this view, and then an emote just like gets, oh, that hits stuff, gets just tossed at my face. Just haphazardly, just have it like do something like that. I think that would be actually be pretty good. Just an arc across the screen, like that would be perfect. Where it sometimes would collide with me. Not doing fart spray. I'm not spraying myself with farts. You can do whatever you want on your own time. Like a telegraph machine out of this thing. All right, so let's get some screws out of this. Oh my God, there's fasteners everywhere on this thing. This is just why would they make it like this? I don't understand. Like, okay, so you have a solenoid and it pulls, right? Pull solenoid, it's not a push. So this thing pulls, and probably with a pretty significant amount of force, seeing as this is a pretty big coil. So it pulls with a pretty significant amount of force. You have a spring in here to reset it. The backdrop is the stop is just it's a massive E-clip. Because you are the Prince of Evil, you need to put a massive E-clip on this device. So you have it pulling down, but then for some reason you have this big weird looking assembly. And I guess what this is doing is locking to this shaft. This is a linear bearing on the shaft. It's just a crude linear bearing. So that you can push. Why use a push solenoid? I guess this gives it a repeatable backdraw. I don't, but then, oh, okay, so you've got a round shaft that comes all the way down here. And because of the operation of the device, you have a cutter that's sort of offset, and that's producing torque. So that's going to produce torque as it gets dragged around, actually dragged back and forth, because it moves the paper and then it drags this way back and forth. So this thing is going to get tugged in every single like direction, just basically tugged all over the place, right? So I guess eventually that could lead to this thing getting off kilter by spinning this way. So you make this giant assembly that gets to the other side of the solenoid and has two roller bearings on it that are probably slightly preloaded. So you need a little spring plate, and then you preload those and they don't spin anywhere. Why? It's a lot. Yeah, this is one of those rotating knives. It's just whatever direction the knife is heading in, the cutting face stays in front. All right, well, I guess I'm gonna, well, I want to keep this part together, because this I might transfer to something else, like a 3D printer, maybe. Maybe not, maybe I'll never get around to it, but the possibility exists. So let me get the knife out of here so I don't cut myself. Cool, cool, very, very cool, very cool, very easy to work on. Try this one. Oh, these are stripped to hell. I think my buddy worked on these. I think he worked on this assembly because it's got the telltale signs of somebody having messed around with it almost to the point where it won't go back together, like stripped screws. The trick with Phillips heads is to find the largest Phillips head that fits it. Typically that'll get you done, right? You find the largest Phillips head you can because you want to have as much contact area as possible with that Phillips head so it doesn't strip it out. So I'm going over to the bits here because I've got slightly larger Phillips heads included with it. Actually, I might have to go to the other kit if this doesn't work. The largest one I can. That locks in pretty well. Yep, and it did a number on it immediately. Those are expensive. I wanted to test the cutting functions on my lasers, so I bought the stuff to change around. The knife alone was the same price as the holder and the solenoids. It seems like you could 3D print the holder. Well, there's a little bit of extra stuff to the holder. This one looks broken. This is probably why he was selling it. Or sorry, why he gave it away. Because this little tensioner right here looks like it's been overdone and it cracked at the base. Yeah, look at that. So that's broken. Maybe I could 3D print another one. And that just fits into this assembly so you can adjust the height. And then this, I guess, is the tension on the knife. There's probably a spring in here. Where's my spring? That looks like a sci-fi show where the bad guy injects you with something. Oh, so that just presses in? It's got a bearing on the front. I can see a couple bearings on there. But it just presses in, and then I guess the rest is just relying on pressure. Press, pressure, get it. How does it not fall out? I don't want to like push down on it and get it locked in place because I don't want to cut myself. I'm going to cut myself with this. Yeah, I guess it just fits in. What do? You just rely on it not to fall out this way? I guess maybe it gets pressed in and that's why there's a hole here so you can put a pin tool at the back and pop it out. So this is just to lock in the depth. But then so is this. So is this. You can slide it up and down and then you can do, I guess, precise depth with the threads. Is that enough? I don't think that'll tighten the blade in. This is probably just easy to... I can't grip it. I can't grip it. I can't grip it. There, maybe beauty tweezers. Those will grip it. Problem is I put all this shit in front of my stuff. Does the back part work as a collet? I don't think so. I don't see anything resembling collet action. These aren't going to grip. I can't. These are not the right kind of tweezers. Maybe use, I don't know. I just wanted to see if it would fall out, but whatever. What do you mean no sound? No, we got sound. I got sound. I see my sound working. Unless Twitch is having a very unique problem. Yeah, see, there's nothing for me to grip up here, and I guess they're just relying on just that little bit of friction, static friction of the thing in there to kind of hold it in, I guess. I still have sound. I see it. That ain't on me. You can see the level. See? I got sound. I got sound right there. So yeah, I guess this is just relying on just that little bit of static friction in there in order to keep it in. I thought it would drop out for sure, but I guess not. Anyway, the point is my friend gave me this vinyl cutter because this is broken right here. Looks like a robot. Beep, 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 beep. Sounds like a personal problem. I could 3D print this. Put a threaded insert. I could just reuse that threaded insert. I could make this. I could 3D print this assembly, and then I could make it fit onto the 3D printer, and I'd have a vinyl cutter. What am I going to do with a vinyl cutter? Plus, I have a glass bed on the 3D printer. This would be the worst thing to use on a glass bed. It would do all the vinyl cutting, and then I'd take the stickers off, but they'd be sheets of glass that were custom cut. my glass cutting 3D printer. All right, so that little bit of a bust, but at least I've got a cutter head. This whole assembly is ridiculous. We don't want anything to do with this whole assembly. This is a little bit too ridiculous and complicated. Now, we could energize it and just see how hard it hits, if that is going to be too much for it, or if that is enough to kick an emote across the table. I don't think it is, but we can try. Okay, so this label is not giving me any information. Glass stickers, sign me up. I know, it's like kind of swanky, isn't it? That's actually a high-end thing. 12A1 alpha omega lambda. That 12 is making me really think that this is a 12-volt solenoid. Although the power supply for this thing was 5, 24, and 35? Or was it 5, 12, 35? It might have been 5, 12, 35. It's a really weird set of powers that this vinyl cutter had. And the power supply ended up as Burn the Subs' as power supply. Powder supply. It's power supply. I want that part number. Give me that part number. One last part number, Arthur. Son of a bitch. It's been on there so long that it took the stuff with it. So SDO 24. Oh God, it's one of these that peels apart. 245L12A1. Yeah. 24. What was it again? 245L. SDO 245L. Hold on, we'll laugh about it when we can finally have the memory lapse. SDO 24L12A1. The sticker is breaking apart because it's one of those like tamper style stickers, and it's old, and so it's just completely crumbling on me. SDO 245L 12A16. You type 0.0. Is that an O or a 0? I guess it's in there with other letters, so SDO. I mean, it should be criminal to not use the O with a slash in it, or the 0 with a slash in it. This sticker is crumbling in my hands right now. I need to get it off of my hands. That was fascinating, by the way, having to decode something that way. You know, horror game makers, here's your chance. That was a perfect puzzle. You got to find the razor blade. You have to peel the sticker off, and then the sticker takes with it some of the letters, so you have to lay them out over it, and you have to read something forward and backwards at the same time in order to get the key to, in order to open the lock on the safe or something like that, right? That's a perfect horror game mechanism that we've just taken out of the real world, and anybody that's worked with this kind of stuff will go, holy shit, that was smart. That's it. That's all you got to do. These are things that we run into all the time, too. Like part numbers that have been partially obscured by sanding them off. Take that idea to Satan. I should take that idea to Rabaz with his game, because his game right now is just a walking simulator. He needs to put some puzzles in there. Is he smart enough to do puzzles? Is AI smart enough to do puzzles? He might just be making a walking simulator. Rabaz has played a lot of games, though. Pole linear solenoid, SDO 1245L12A16. 1245, oh, I forgot the 5. I forgot the 5, I can't believe it. For advertising cutting machine. Well, that's it. That's our buddy. 12 volt, 3/4 of an amp, 16 ohms, 9 watts. Yeah, he's making a game. It's called Late Night Sausage. You can wish list it right now. I don't know when he's ever going to work on it again. He keeps pulling it out of his pocket and working on it, and he's got a lot to do. I think more than he realizes. He's got a Steam page for it, though, but he's got a lot to do. There's the coding part of it he's using for AI for. The artistic part of it he's using himself and a little bit of AI for. I think, you know, in my mind, he's using it in all the ways that AI really can flourish, which is the gaps in your knowledge. So if you don't know how to program things so well, AI can be used as a tool, as a crutch to help get you to that point where you can do useful things with programming faster. And it'll get you there very quickly. I think it's on you to kind of read through it and make sure that what AI is producing, you understand and you know where it's being applied and how. If you need a texture for something in your game, you can direct it towards getting you the right texture, and it can be a lot faster at making a tileable texture than you learning how to make tileable textures with a tool in Adobe, right? So I think that's a good use of AI. I think the sort of cut and paste prompts, replacing artists and things like that, that's not too controversial, right? I don't know. Some people completely despise AI through and through. I think it's good as a crutch, especially if you're doing something that's sort of out of your wheelhouse. And it sort of helps to unobjectively just give you tutorials and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, and I guess the other part of it is having no pretense about what you're doing. You say, yeah, I used AI mostly in this thing. Instead of like, I am an artist. Okay, so this thing is 12 volts and it's about 3/4 of an amp. And we don't have, I don't, you know, I can find a flyback diode for it eventually. But right now we're just testing it out on the bench. So I'm gonna get my power supply up and running. And I'm not gonna use the Agilent. I'm gonna use mine because we made this thing go up to 52 volts with tons and tons of amps behind it, purposefully for testing motor stuff. So motors and actuators and all kinds of stuff like that. So let me get leads. I need leads. Those are over here. Those are over here. What leads do we have? I mean, I can break apart the leads that I used for the modular synthesizer stuff, or I can just find a set here. If those aren't bananers to bananers, these might be nanner to nanner. Bananer. Where is the black lead? Where did that one go? Oh, there's all kinds of leads in here. That's not it. That's not it. It must have fallen down. What are these? You guys go to, yeah, okay, we'll take that one. We'll take that one. These are easy hook, but they're kind of annoying. The ones that I typically use are alligators. Those are a little bit better at holding on to stuff. The easy hooks are good for general purpose lab use. I think we'll get by with these. Needs to disclose what he uses AI for. Yeah, he already made the final credits for the game, so he has in fact credited AI with just about everything, including the music, which is AI dog shit music. Black lead, red lead, and we're gonna go to 12 volts. What's up to you, mister? We're already back. We're already back, baby. We're back to the farts. Back to the interrupting farts. Voltage down to 12. I bet this thing can take more than 12. We've got a maximum of 6 amps, and I'm just going to turn that on. So we just have hot leads. Should we try to scan the steering wheel tomorrow? Actually, no. We might still be working on this stuff tomorrow. Just trying to think of what we're doing. All right, let's get a little bit of copper exposed on this thing. Did you make a delay on farts this time so you don't get a phone call and 20,000 farts go on? No. I may need. We can do all kinds of stuff with Node-RED, so I could have a pause button on the Stream Deck. I probably should get the Stream Deck XL working, and then I can make a little picture of a butt with like an X over it, and I can use that on the tile in order to turn them off. Otherwise, I can reach out and just unplug it. But yeah, sometimes I have type 1 diabetes, everybody, just so you know. Just so you know. Anyone who's against type 1 diabetics, you can leave. You can leave if I'm sorry that I led you on not knowing. But anyway, so I have type 1 diabetes. So sometimes I get calls about medical stuff like during the day. It really is. People don't realize this, but it is a full fucking time job to try to stay alive in America with type 1 diabetes. And I don't know how other diabetics have a job. Because like if you have a 9 to 5, CVS is not really open. Some of them are outside of those hours. Doctor's offices are not reachable outside of those hours. Like appointments have to happen inside of those hours that you're supposed to be at work. So I was in hot water for just putting myself on the schedule for a doctor's appointment and not being there within the amount of vacation hours that I was given. And so my diabetes meant that I got less hours to vacation and I got to sit in waiting rooms. Like, it sucks, man. But I don't know how other diabetics do it. I don't know how the type 1s get by. They do, though. They're perfectly functional members of society. But sometimes I get calls about medical stuff during stream. So I'll mute and you guys will see me on the phone. And at that point, the fart box goes absolutely psycho. People will wait to redeem their points. And actually, Louis was the first person to notice the phenomenon of me turning around to the degree that my butt is visible. And if my butt is visible, everybody starts setting off fart noises. Ooh, I just lost one of the wires in there. This is not very thick wire for what this thing is. I don't know if this is going to punch very hard. This is sort of meant to be a gentle lowering of the cutting element. Did the cheesy popcorn one come through? I think it did. All right, so we should get a pretty sizable click out of this thing, because this power supply is no slouch. Here, we'll put it on the microscope. That'll be a little better. It did. Okay. Yeah, I don't. Gentle may be the wrong word, but it's not going to be. It's a big coil. That is just disgusting. All this nasty ass grease. It's a little claustrophobic, but we should get a huge spark. Oh. All right, that's pretty tame. And it's 0.71 amps, so pretty good. It looks like blood. It's dried grease. It's not blood. These are technically supposed to hook downwards more because they fit into that top little loop right there. And that's how it holds on to the wire really well. So I need to actually bend these leads down. We'll use my super duper Nipex that I'm totally not writing off on my taxes by showing on stream. Made in Germany through Knipex, Knishex, the Cobra. Some people like daily carry these things. I don't know. It's a pretty good little wrench. I just wanted to see what it was like. It's way more than anything that we need in this shop. I'm going to see if I can actually use it to do something. Something that I can do very easily with even just my wire cutters. If you eat on stream, you can write the food off on taxes. I know. And if I talk about a streaming service, then I can write that off on taxes too. I can itemize the living hell out of my taxes. Although it never really comes out to enough money for it to make any sense. It doesn't really happen because I don't think I make I might not even make enough money to have to file taxes this year. Which is always like, should I do that? Like, do I need to? That's a little better. These are getting old. I probably need to get new leads. So that was way more tame than I thought it would be. I thought we'd get a little bit more of a slapping going on there. That will not have enough energy to launch an emote, and we can put that to task right now. Something that I can prop one of these up with so that it comes into contact at the end of this thing. How tall is that? These will just be like a little piece of metal. Okay, so just grab a piece of metal. Anything will do. Oh, I got like, this is a 3D printed thing. And I've got the whole Z-axis if I really need to use that. But I think the Z-axis is too big. It's too tall. Too tall. Just like a, that's not really gonna, well, actually, that might be perfect. I printed this out as a helper to do some holes that I had to drill in something. Kind of neat, where you can take the 3D printer and use it to make like a jig that'll help you do something else. There's one in my city did eat all his meals. Yeah, that's what I think Adam does that, Adam Johnston. But also for the people who like the meal asthma, you know, they can't eat a meal without watching somebody else eating. Same with driving to work. What? Everything with 0 views just to write it off on taxes. They did not accept it. I mean, look, that's viewers or no. That was pathetic. That was pathetic. That was pathetic. Nothing. So we are fighting a spring. If we get rid of the spring, what happens? It won't be able to reset if it doesn't have the spring, but still. That's not going to give us any significant amount of energy out of this thing. This is just not meant for launching something. So the real question is, what can we push this to do? If I take this up to 24 volts, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. 24 volts. Out of spec. No, it'll survive 24 volts just fine. This should get it to really slap. It's still pathetic. Yes, that's where we're going next, is create something to exaggerate, because we have a certain, like, this is a big coil. So we have a lot of force in there. It just doesn't have a lot of punch. I'm not putting 64 volts. I could put 52 volts through this, but like, that's almost there. Kinda. Yeah, these are all the awe emotes. That's kind of getting there, right? Not quite, but it is kind of getting there. That's still gonna topple over. It's like not that great. All right, so once it latches, it's got a lot of energy, but it doesn't have a ton of force on that stroke. I'm not going to use compressed air. Stand it on end. None of this stuff stands on end. I don't know what you mean. It's fine. Okay. All right. So let's get to work exaggerating the motion of this thing. These are particularly strong at like holding things in place. I don't know, the movement is not amazingly strong, but if we can get it to flick something, I guess that could work. Or we could have it hold something back and let go. I think either of those would be acceptable. Holding something back is a tough thing. I guess what you would do is maybe have a gear that would pull something back and then let go of it, and then you could release. Maybe. Just thinking about mechanicals. I'm sure we can find a guide to that. But let's take this whole thing apart. Let's take this assembly apart. Oh, I don't think it's going to matter whether or not it's on a runway or not. I'm trying to get it to flick up in the air and into my face. We definitely need just a little bit more force than what this thing is capable of. Power supply, I'm going to turn that back down to 12. Actually, just turn it off. We're not going to need it for a few minutes. Although we might want to, yeah, we might want to operate it once we get it out of here. That pin, this thing, grub screw. Grub screw. First thing to come out. Grub screw. Try this one. Way bigger. Actually, that's the exact size. I got it. Hey. Just the right size. There's no telling what kind of detritus is holding this thing together still. I guess not much. No, those are actually pretty nice. And it's got like a felt pad to make it not click really audibly. And then all that's left are these four. There's this. That's a pretty weak spring. Oh. Yeah, I was hoping it would be a little bit more powerful than that, but it's not what it's meant to do. Yeah, there we go. I like playing with stuff like this because we're just kind of figuring it out and improvising everything. Eventually, all this is going to go into CAD, and then we've got to meticulously plan, make a hopper for these things. But for right now, we can just play. We can get a block of wood and attach things to it, maybe. There we go. Yeah, biggest Phillips head that fits so that you can get as much torque in there as possible without damaging the sidewall. Okay. You know, it's probably these little ones are probably going to be much more pathetic. They would be better at triggering a mechanism, but this big boy here, I guess most of what this does is just latch magnet to magnet. So let's just like energize it and see where it kicks in and how hard it kicks. I still got the power supply set up for 12 volts. I think I broke this by messing with it. Yeah, this particular type of easy hook is very obnoxious to use because it wears away. They're not expensive, which is why they break very easily. Okay, so turn on the power. Sorry, I'm like brains all over the place today. Turn on the power. 11 volts, 11.9 at 0.69 amps. And without pinching myself, I don't want to pinch myself with the solenoid, all right? Very weak. Very, very weak. Very weak. Oh, no. Oh, it is weak. This is a weak solenoid. This thing does not. Like, I can pull this apart. This thing is barely. This is pathetic. This is pathetic. I expected this to be a bit more of a kicker. I guess a larger solenoid would be doing, you know, like the ones they have in like organs. Huh. You know, I can pump the voltage up to obscene amounts. I could recoil this thing. That would be the hell of a stream. Putting a new coil on this. Is that heating? Oh, the coil's heating up. Huh. Oh, Wayne Johnson. Hey, thank you for subbing. We haven't hooked anything up to the subscription. I need to hook something up to the subscription so the idea light can be hooked up to that as well. Yeah, like if I recoil this thing, then I don't really know the specs on it, but this thing is a very weak hold-on. Hence the extremely weak spring. What are these? Sun Micromechanical or something? Cool when they tell you their company, but they don't give you a part number and you find it at the bottom of your bin. The willow emote. I could, you know, we could spool up a screen and make that display emotes. That would be really cool to do. I have a little circle display that I could do that with. Sun Magnet, and that's all I get? Do they even exist anymore? Does the company exist? Sun Magnet. That is not what I meant. Fridge magnets, sunshine magnet. What would happen if you put a magnet on the sun? Jeez Louise. The amount of energy in the sun, you wouldn't put it on the sun. You couldn't get there. You wouldn't get there. Magnets hate temperature. I forget what the terminology is. There's a name for it, but there's a temperature at which the magnet fails. It's too much chaos in the atoms for the spins of the electrons to properly do the thing of magnetism because they're getting knocked all over the place, right? Heat, entropy, heat causes atoms to vibrate around, and when your atoms are vibrating around, they're not necessarily spinning in a coordinated direction, so you don't get magnetism. How do magnets work? It's polar moment spins. Funky things happen when atoms all spin in the same direction. Is the sun a molten magnet? You guys are talking about the sun, where everything is gas. Everything is superheated, condensed plasma. It's the atoms are not spinning around in any kind of a coordinated manner. Heat and magnetism do not mix. Anyway, sun magnet ink. There's probably 10,000 different. Yeah, none of this is going to be relevant. They decided to put this stupid label on it, and there's just no other information about it. Describing it by Vikings. You could have said, wait, are whirling dervishes only male? Can there be female whirling dervishes? If the whirling dervishes are going in the same direction, there's not going to be a part number underneath this. This is not that kind of a label. I'll peel this back anyway because these have been so useless. I've just had nothing to do with these. Yeah, it's nothing. Let's just see what it's like. So I've still got one of the ones with the shaft over here. And we could actually put an E-clip and a spring on this if we need to. I have those parts. Oh god, the masking tape is so old that it's leaving residue all over. Yeah, there's no, it's like completely, oh, but we put our logo on it too, and the logo is actually what's unique. It's like, no, I still can't find you. Like, there's still no way that I'm going to be able to find you, given that set of information. If I had a part number, maybe. Yeah, so we could probably size a spring for this and put an E-clip on that spring. I need to see what this one's capable of. So slightly, it's a very similar configuration to this one over here. It's just all the mechanics are slightly different. There was a solenoid on the steering column. What happened to that one? It may have been thrown out with the steering column. Okay, this one, we're going to give 12 volts, even though it's probably not a 12-volt solenoid. I need a pin. That is sub-pin header size. Well, we could just clip it to the side. I can come in from above. I think that'll make electrical contact. Did that instantly get hot and almost burn me? I'm not sure. I definitely felt something. We'll connect it in front here. I have it on 12 volts, which is probably too much for this. All right, I didn't see anything there. Let's put this on here and it'll maybe make a very loud clicking noise. No, we're not making contact. Son of a biche. Okay, let's see here. Jumpers just shoved into those. That might stretch it out a little too much, but I guess I could take this wire over here, this jumper, and just smash it into the connector, because not like I'm doing anything else with it. These have been in my tool bin for like a century without any sort of use. Oh, that actually does just fine. That does just fine. Let me just take these O-scope wires and use those. So I'm going to offset that a little bit. Now I'm going to hit it with probably, yeah, 5 volts is probably a better bet. 5 volts. Hopefully my power supply is not being damaged by this lack of flyback, because we've had a lot of flyback going into the power supply. It should be able to handle it, but I don't know. Nothing? Okay, I'm just going to permanently power it with 5 volts and see if there's any current running through. 0 amps. There's no way that's not making contact. 5 volts in there, 0 amps, and nothing is happening. There's no electrical connection. Could be on me. Let's just strip the wires then. We'll strip the wires because there's a epoxy at the base. So I don't know. Yeah, did I burn it out with 12 volts? I guess we'll go to this one next. I don't think so. That would be really weak, wouldn't it? If you give it 12 volts, if it's a 5-volt device and I give it 12 volts and that burns it out permanently, it doesn't deserve to be in this shop. Plan, I don't know, D, E, maybe plan F is just to get a solenoid from Flatulent Gonad. But international shipping is getting more perilous by the day. So maybe that won't be able to happen. I should just locally source a kicker solenoid. I cut these to the same length, which is kind of a boneheaded move. All right, so if I turn this on, I'm keeping this here so that you guys can see it on thermals. There we go. 0.13 of an amp. It's kind of pathetic. These are all kind of pathetic, aren't they? I'm getting kind of pathetic results out of this. Let's go to 12 volts. 9, 10, 12. 12 volts. And it's a third of an amp. And it's equally pathetic, even at 12 volts. Is it heating up? That's just the heat from my hands. Yeah, they are very skinny. Yeah, you're right. Skinny wires. So these can hold on to stuff pretty well. Like if I want to release something, I guess I could use it. This is getting kind of warm. It's the body of the thing is starting to heat up a little bit. What's up, Disco Sundays? How you doing? Australia. All the sticker label stuff is on my hands. So 12 volts is completely pathetic on these things. Push the material up to a roller or something? I'm thinking if we just pull on a simple machines, right? If we pull on a lever, it can karate chop, and maybe that'll kick it out. We could karate chop this way. Let's just like build something stupid that'll do that. So if I pull on this, yeah, some of my favorite YouTube channels these days are the Australian machinists. They're kind of awesome. They range from the super serious to welding in bare feet. And it's always a very dry sense of humor. I like that. Scrap material. Let me go get something that's flat, and maybe we can figure out some kind of mechanics for this so that we can like karate chop the this guy. Bogans? Nah. I can't do a good Australian accent. Don't ask me. I can't. It'll just be embarrassing for all of us if I try. I can talk a little bit more like I'm from Philly, and that's about all I can do. I can maybe do like a more New Jersey, but brackets and L brackets with holes in it, that's promising. I'm looking for like a little sheet of carbon fiber. I think I have. Actually, I could probably get it from the drone parts, to be honest. We can just use a hand drill to get into it. And I got a block of wood that we could mount it on. So we could just go real simple with this stuff. Although we already had a thing. No, I don't think that quite works. Most of Australians bare feet. Well, they're all on beaches, right? No, yeah, that's as far as you're gonna get with me. All right, spring arm, and over to this bin over here. Got all kinds of stuff in bins. Bins and bins and bins. Boots and cats. Boots and cats. Boots, cats, boots, cats, boots, cats. So I had a bunch of stuff in here. That's all carbon fiber. It's all light, and it's all completely disposable because I'm not doing stuff with drones lately. So if I put something together using this stuff, find something that'll work like a lever, that's pretty good. and then something as a base, and we can just hook into the end of it. That'll actually do. Might have to add a spring. When I get up, I will end up unplugging my microphone cable. So yeah, if you haven't seen lately, because we've got a couple user interactivity things going on here. We did our due diligence and we got the Node-RED working with the Twitch API. And now, if people feel like it, they can spend channel points and make a fart noise that'll be completely and utterly distracting to me. Or if they say idea in the Twitch chat, this lights up. I would love to put the YouTube API to use, but I think it's rate limited. It's got like a points system, and so you spend points to do stuff on their API. They do that to keep from being completely and utterly inundated with requests, but that means that if we have something like chat running into Node-RED, it might use up all of our points. I don't really necessarily need a bearing. All I want is for this thing to just flick the emote at a great distance, at a long moment arm. So if I pull this thing in, we're not going to get that significant of movement out of it, but it might be enough of a mechanical multiplication there that'll kick our little awe emote far enough. I probably need a board. Let me go get a board. If I can get like a wooden board and a couple wood screws, I can get this like thrown together in 5 seconds. So attaching this thing attaches from behind. I don't know how maybe I can just put screws into the sides of it. We're just gonna do this like real ghetto, just because it'll be a good initial test to see if our machinations are machinations. Scraps, what do we got? That'll do. That'll do. Just a crappy piece of wood over here that I don't care about. It's probably actually a nicer kind of wood. What kind of wood is it? It's scrappy enough. Probably part of the stuff that I used for the original BTS. Could I do this in MakerBeam though? Possibly. I could possibly do this in MakerBeam and it'll be a cleaner setup. But for now, I'm just gonna deal with this and we'll just get a drill over here. A drill or the DeWalt thing that Mahala sit in. That could work. And a shuck for it, or actually this 1/4-inch thing, because my shop is full of self-tapping sheet metal screws. And so let's see. I've got a bunch of them right here. These are, I need the shorter ones. Oh, I also have these things. Can we use those? Nah, that would be for a larger like push rod kind of system. I don't think I can utilize those. I'd have to find my threaded rods too. I think just a couple of these little guys will do. And we'll have to drill out the hole so it's a big wonky hole in this thing. Unless I can use this bracket. Nah. Simple. Keep it simple. Of course, I don't have the dimensions anywhere. Like that. And if this is pulling probably from there, we can see what kind of a mechanical advantage it has this way. And so I need a standoff. And I've got standoffs. I got plastic standoffs. Let me go get that kit. Is that down there? The KCD patch is how big? The Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. 163 gigs? What the heck? What did they like re-record all the voice lines? That is just unfathomable. What aren't they compressing that they should be compressing? It has to be sound. I have a kit of varying length standoffs here somewhere. That's not it. No, it's behind me. Okay, it's in the back of the shop. Let me go get it. Oh. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, it's under all this stuff. It's under all this stuff. All right. I've been trying to clean up a little bit, but I haven't had too much time in the past couple days. Things have started to get out of hand. Let's see, I've got a couple of these emotes. This thing is full of those little plastic emotes. Absolutely crazy. All right, so way down here should have nylon plastic standoffs. Unless they got somewhere else. Unless those are grub screws. Oh my God, that's a lot of grub screws. E-clip assortment. Well, that's not useful now, but it might be in the future. Okay, so must have passed it over when I was up front. Whew. The game installs 85. How did they get it to 160? Does it just? It sounds like it has to re-download the whole game. I guess that's probably what it's doing. Where did that kit of nylon standoffs go? What did you guys do with it? I know you're up to no good. Pin screws, washers. It's behind something. Oh, what is this bag of screws doing here? Bag of somethings. Oh, it's a bunch of... This should be in a different area. I'm finding things that I thought I'd lost many, many years ago, which is really not the way to run things. I got them. That's what I'm looking for. Ladies and gentlemen, we got them. All right, and then miscellaneous screws to try to find a long wood screw that's going to fit through that tiny little hole. All right, there we go. Now I can get back to the desk. Whew. When I try to half-ass stuff, it ends up being whole-assing all kinds of other stuff. It's like I just can't do it. I'm going to do this really quickly, and it ends up being like a long-winded project because I just can't. I can't bring myself to do stuff on that level. Okay, so something somewhere is being properly compressed, but not in a whole lot of places. We don't have any adjustability back and forth, so we just have to eyeball it. And then this I'm going to put on a standoff so that it's moderately close to the right height, and I can just throw something in there. Or should it be all the way up at the edge like that, to where this is pulling on it? It's going to want to tilt. We want shorter distance to larger distance, so maybe we'll put it out here, and I can pull back on it sideways. Well, let's get the pivot on there first. Just random parts from random places. I eated it. I eated the nylon standoff. Should that be the height of the carbon fiber? Because if we're pulling on it and that's twisting, actually that should be reversed, maybe? Or should it be this way, and then when this swings out... No, that doesn't make any sense. You're talking nonsense, Father. You're back talking nonsense again. So how long of a wood screw do I need? Long. Needs to be pretty high. 16 millimeter. Well, 16 is above the height of the actual emote, so we'll go below that down to here. So that gets us puts us right on the surface there, and that way when it kicks, it'll actually kick an emote instead of not doing anything. So this may be pathetic. I don't know if this is going to be pathetic or not. The possibility exists that this is going to be completely pathetic. because it's just not that much travel. We're dealing with, yeah, I don't know. Well, might as well try it. Long screw. Not a wood screw. I need something that'll bite into wood. I mean, the machine screw will bite into wood eventually, but... Oh, that's a flathead. That is even more cursed than anything that I could come up with. Ah, might as well. All right, so that in a drill bit form. It's not a self-tapping, and it's not a wood screw. So I at least need somewhat of a pilot hole, but I can't make it big enough that it doesn't actually bite in. I needed to put pressure on the machine threads for anything to happen here. We're trying to make a solenoid emote kicker, something that will kick my emote and throw it, and so proof of concepting it here. It's a very quiet Thursday. I don't know what's going on, if everybody's busy or something. So that can pull from that distance. So we want this to be about here. And I probably want, which one do I want? I'll take this one. Okay. Probably that one. Let's see. I gotta screw in a flathead. I might as well just do it with a manual screwdriver. God, this is gonna be so annoying. And screw it in until it just barely supports this. No bearings, nothing fancy, just straight up long screw into wood. That's how the pioneers used to do it. I hate flathead screws so much. This is the most annoying thing. Nothing is in alignment. All right, hold on. Maybe I could use this. Robertson? Is that flathead? Which one is that? Robert, son of Robert. Oh my God. Split the piece of wood. I guess I could put a standoff above it, and then that'll put it between two sliding things. Put this above. Yeah, I'm gonna put one below and one above just to make this even worse. If you add a little flame to make carbon, it may reduce the friction. Plus added. I'm not using flames to make it less. What do you? Oh, you mean on the screw? Nah, it's fine. That seems like a lot. That seems like a lot. We'll just do a standoff on each side, and then I got that much thread there, and the standoffs will be kind of a smooth surface for the carbon fiber to go up against. Plus, I've already got threads in this hole now. Cool, now that's never gonna move. I can set it to a position and it'll stay there. So I'll just take it back. Just take it back a half turn. There, so loosey-goosey, but it'll take one of these and throw it. I don't have one that's long enough for me to do that little bit of distance off, unless I find one right now. Yeah, this is actually pretty close. What I have is, it doesn't matter, because I have a drill. I have a drill, and so if I drill a pilot hole that's just small enough that the machine threads are really being crushed by it, it's fine for the test. Totally fine for the test. I could do like a piece of string around that. Because when it pulls, it's going to induce all kinds of weird angles on this thing. What do we have left over here? This is the original mechanism. We got this rod that isn't going anywhere. Looks like this rod is glued in. That's weird. I hate that the wires come out of the front of this thing because they get in the way. They really should be coming out of the back end. But if let's see. Like, just shove a hole into the side of it and then pull it that way. Or try to get as close as possible so that more movement equals more. Well, it's got to start here and go that way. So really, it would be like this. There's no way this is going to work. I have graphite powder here, but I'm not. Why would I do anything with graphite powder? Graphene powder. What? This is graphite. It's a piece of wood to hold the grain auger. The friction heated up the wood, and the carbon reduced the friction. You're overthinking this. You're overthinking this. I just want to pull this thing with a solenoid. That's all. I'm just thinking about the mechanics of pulling it and like where the. I guess it'll be fine if I just kind of lock this thing down and I just shove a hole through the carbon fiber at the end here. I think I'm totally fine. So let's just shove a hole in the end of the carbon fiber. This is going to take a second to drill because these things don't like me. And then I'll throw a bolt through, and we'll throw. Is this Fart Machine 2.0? No, but it is also something that could be interactive. Well, I mean, fundamentally, it is going to be interactive. All right, I need you just prop it with something that I can drill through. That'll do. Nope, too tall. Just need to prop it up. I should have drilled this initially. Well, I got these things. Which one do I have under there? I think this one. I think it's this one. It's a screwdriver I'm using as a drill. I'm not pretentious. Use whatever. Closer. It's not the most luxurious shot that I've ever had on the stream. Usually our shots are buttery smooth, but usually I'm doing electronic stuff. Yeah, it's just, look, for dumb stuff, and let's be honest, this is dumb stuff. This does fine. I might break the drill bit when this goes through. And also, why is it so wobbly? I think the drill bit is in there a little bit wobbly. I just got to be careful for when it breaks through. And I think I'm dulling the bit. I think the bit is dull. It's carbon fiber dust. Don't breathe that. Good Lord. One of these days, I'm actually going to break through. This drill bit is tortured beyond beyond comprehension. See, I can already predict what's going to happen. This is going to fall through, and then I'm going to get at a weird angle, and that'll break the drill bit. Not that, I mean, at the speed that this drill bit is going through this piece of material, I don't think I'd be too broken up if we lose the drill bit. Okay, well, it actually did just fine. So I'm going to try to find a tiny bolt. It's going to be very, very small because the drill bit was very, very small. Find a tiny little bolt that I can get through there, and then that'll just rest inside of this thing. I don't even know about putting a fastener on the top end of it. So let me get this out of here so I can find it. Yeah, well, now I'm taking it apart anyway, and I didn't. This is dumb. I should have done this and then drilled it on the surface. You guys don't need to tell me how to do this stuff. I know what I'm doing. All right, really thin little machine bolt. Oh, this is one right there. This is actually the buddy of the other one. That's a flathead. Not really that great. Possibly I need to drill that a little larger. Possibly. Just see if I got... This is way too thin, and there's no way that this is translating the mechanical force of this thing, but maybe I could use it. I don't think I have a bolt that's that small. It's really small. Let's get a slightly larger drill bit on that. Let's get a slightly larger drill bit on that. That's not a larger one. I've got like a little pile of drill bits that I've used with the drill, the screwdriver drill. I'm just kind of reckoning what size. Is that a 1/4-inch hex to pin vise you're using on the DeWalt? Yeah, they're pretty cheap, but they turn this into a, oh my god, into the wobbliest drill in the world. They turn it into a serviceable drill for like circuit boards and stuff and things like this, where I'm just proof of concepting something stupid. It's a little better, but it's still wobbly as hell. Whatever. It means I don't have to go get my big drill, my big hand drill. And it also means anything that fits in a pin vise can also be used. So if I'm chamfering a bunch of holes, I can chamfer with this, and it's a little bit nicer. That is just never going to get through, is it? Trying to get a serviceably sized hole. I mean, if I use this one here and I pull from here, that's going to give me a much bigger mechanical advantage. I don't know how I can set that up on the board. Hold on, let me think about this. If I can use holes that are already in there to kind of kick it. Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Everything would need to be in line. So it'd need to be like here. And then we pull this way. All right, let's try that. Yeah, I'm going to try that because that's less work. Less work. And also let me get a bolt with a nut. Portable nut. And I can just hold it in place with my hand. Who has a fastener among you? It's way thinner. Those are going to be way larger. Well, actually, these larger bolt, doesn't it? Because it's a larger hole. Yeah. This way, the mechanical advantage is much greater. We're much closer. This is kind of far away. So really, it would be like having this as the moment arm. But if we're out here and we're pulling it like that, there's a huge amount of force multiplication going on there. So if we pull it from this extremity, this is just a scrap piece. This is for some kind of helicopter leg of some kind. So I'm just working with what I have. Working with what I have because I think that whole bin of material is probably going to get thrown out at some point. It's sad to see it go, but it's like, what have I done with carbon fiber in the past 10,000 years? Nothing. I've only used it, sheets of it that are pretty. For looking pretty. So I need to find a nut that is going to go on my bolt. Or one that already has one. This is a bunch of machine screws, and I don't think I've really saved the fasteners. These are mostly good when I need like a wood screw to go into something. Or like something to go through a 3D print. Yeah, here's where I get bogged down looking for something that fits. Maybe in the metrics. Well, actually, we could use bespoke fasteners. I don't need to use the grab bag of screws. Love the look of carbon fiber, but I hate to work with it. Yeah. It's nasty stuff. Nasty, nasty, nasty. So in these screws, well, actually, to be fair, probably use, these are like my super schwanky M2.5s. I'd rather the whole thing be scrapped. These I saved for like real projects, but it looks like one of these would probably be perfect in this application. And I have all of the fasteners for it, so grab this, grab one of these. We'll grab one of these. We'll grab one of it. There we go. Boop, boop. Put this away before it gets everywhere. These screws are countersunk hex M2.5, and that's a great size for tiny little RC cars. Can this month be over? I made a bet with my daughter to use just one screen for my PC. We all used to just use one screen. We got used to it. We made it out in the end. I remember those days. Those torturous, horrible days using one screen. I don't know how you do it. Is it at least like an ultra wide? It's like I couldn't imagine doing it unless I have like an excessive amount of horizontal space. Yeah, that's what went into that giant corner desk with all the CD-ROM, the CD-ROM rack and the little lockable cabinet. Everybody had that desk. I had that desk. I loved it. It was my little computer corner. You'd like get lost in it. All right, so that sticks up and goes to the solenoid. This sticks down and goes into the board. And I need to figure out where everybody is going to be in relation to one another. I think I need to take this and drill a hole over here with the small bit so that I can put it in there at a wonky angle, and we can just proof of concept this thing without spending 5 hours designing something in CAD for it to fail, right? It's the whole point of roughing it out. Can I just put this? Oh yeah, we can just flip it. Never mind, I don't need to drill a hole. Don't need to drill a hole. See, I was going to use this with the self-tapping screws. With the self-tapping screws, I've got this 1/4-inch adapter for screwdriver bits. And so I put this on there like that, and this just becomes the self-tapping driver, which I was going to use on wood, which is not what they're meant for. These are meant for sheet metal. But regardless of what they're meant for, they'll bore their own hole, and then the threads will grip onto that wood enough that we can rough this thing out. And I might still use these to sort of hold down the edges of the solenoid, but I'll hold the solenoid in place for now because I don't know what the mechanics of that are going to be. So this is an exercise in me getting over myself and not being such a project diva, because every time I talk to another maker, they're like, you're the guy that does that real engineering stuff. And I'm like, no, I just have mental problems where I can't half-ass something. And so I need to half-ass something every now and then just to get it out of my system. To prove to myself that I'm able to not whole-ass everything I do. Now, I was going to take it from an angle, so let's do... That doesn't work. Do I have to flip this in order to... Can I flip it? Yes, you can. Well, that would mean... I thought... Wait a minute. Like this. Yeah, there we go. So, no. Like... like this. So then we're pulling... Oh, yeah, like this. And then we pull this pretty much this way. Okay, that'll do. So let's get that in. Put everything away. This is why... I'm very practiced in working with all this stuff in one hand because you got to hold something and then set something up and then line something. It's good to know how to operate all this stuff in this manner. All right. That was nothing. That was a nothing sentence right there. I said nothing. I made a lot of noise. Sounded like I was talking, but it's not ultra wide, but it's curved 55-inch. Okay, well, there are all kinds of tools for ultra wides and monitors like that where it'll help you like use it like it was multiple screens, because the partitioning of two screens is not necessary in order to arrange multiple things going on a computer. So I've never used any of it, which is why I talk about it like it's an alien technology. All right, so it's loosey-goosey. It's not perfect, but this should drop over that, hopefully without too much interference. Oh, it's a little short. This needs to be way closer to the ground. Okay, well, we can do that. We can do that. We've got the parts. Instead of this one, we go with a shorter one. Let's see. Okay. All right, that's valid. It is, in the end, it's Windows. Yeah, okay. It's still Windows, so it quote unquote works. I don't think we're going to get great results from this. In systems like this, what I typically see is something that cocks it back against like a big spring. And then you would use the solenoid to launch the spring. But I don't know how I would be able to come up with that one mechanically in front of you guys right now. I love my Wee-ha-hwa precision bit set, but the driver's pretty lackluster. I've got to see if I can borrow someone's LTT precision driver to see if it will fit the case. Gonad, Flatulent Gonad, has opinions about that driver set. I have never used it. It looks like it's a repackaged white label product. It's possible they had a little bit of say in the development of the white label product. I don't know if it's going to be all that great. Why is this? This is like scraping over here. All right, that's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I don't know about that driver set, whatever. The one I use is the iFixit one. So again, it's another internet brand, but I've had good experience with it. All right, that's pretty loose. All right, let's see if it works at all. I've got 12 volts running to this thing, so I'll just get some of this stuff out of the way. Angle it up so we're actually launching something. That's being a little bit brave with the whole system here, is thinking that you're actually going to send something across the room. Yeah, so now you just kind of figure it out. Let's see here. Okay, that was pretty good. That's actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, that's that's a pretty good stroke. Split to curved screen vertical is nice. I have to curve it over the desk so it feels like you lean back and look at it. Feels like you're at a planetarium. Like that's okay. Let's give that a chance, I guess. Let's see if I can launch something into my barn door light. Yeah, it's not much, but I mean, it's enough to possibly kick one of these up into my face. That's what I want it to do. Barely throw it up into my face is essentially the goal. So, I know we're not doing predictions. We probably should do predictions, but we don't have the numbers of the staff today. It's a quiet Thursday. We don't have a lot of people here. My throat is getting weird. I hope it doesn't get too bad. Okay, so let's just see if we can send one of these. What up, Mathis? I'll see, not enough energy. Not enough stroke, I guess. Okay, position myself a little better. Ah, it has no power to the stroke, so we'll shorten the length. Pathetic. Okay, angle myself a little bit more so that it's a smooth pull. Like that. Sort of like this. No, not quite. See, depending on where I want to do the stroke, it needs to go all the way to the base there. So I guess it's going to be like this. Yeah, 60 is a good number. I looked again, but it was slow at first. You know, that's an improvement, right? Maybe. Of course, you also have to fight a spring one. So having it this pathetic is kind of not. I think I need like an actual like kicking solenoid. This would probably be the most powerful because we're going as low as possible because it gets exponentially stronger as you get closer to the two pieces of metal meeting. This is where they meet right here. And so if I stage this around that distance to where it's throwing it this way, it doesn't have a lot of mechanical movement over here, but like that. That's actually pretty good. It might actually be pretty good. We're going to have to think of better mechanical systems for this thing to actually function. It seems like a pulling solenoid is just not... This looks great, but this is it in practice. That barely got it off the desk. It wasn't that bad. I wonder if we can go vertical with this. So like from there, it would chop up that. Yeah, it just doesn't have the violence of action that I want it to have. This may slide off. That's sliding off. Hold it up a little bit like that maybe. It's hard because I got to hold the solenoid in place and this thing's putting a lot of force on the end of our fulcrum. It's terrible. It's awful. It looks like it should be a lot more than it is. Use some kind of a one of those mechanisms where no, that doesn't work. This thing barely has any force on it. I mean, I'm gonna go to 24 volts and see if we can get it to be a little bit more violent. All right, so 24 volts, which is, we're keeping it within the realm of a reasonable power supply that I can supply for this thing, right? See if we can make it actually launch something across the room. I think maybe it's going to need to be a mechanism where we have something that like pulls a string back or something. That's a little better. Yeah, let me just throw a couple screws in there to hold it in place. Because I think that's the next piece here, is that if I hold this in place, we're going to get more consistent results. Now that I've seen how it works a little bit. And the question is if I can mechanically get in there to screw it into one place. So if the end of our stroke is here, and then this needs to be flat like that, and the only movement we get is this, which is a lot of movement. So try to lock that in right there. You guys can't see what I'm doing. I'm sorry. Do that. They're a bit of a struggle for the screwdriver, but once they bite in, they sort of hold on to it. There. It's not held in amazingly, but it is held in. We'll just see what we get out of this. I think this is pine. Probably could have used a slightly longer screw that would have gripped in a bit more. Oh, there it is. That was not bad. "40 minutes ago, you said you'd find a wood plank and spin this up in 10 minutes. Well, you know, everyone's a critic. It didn't get very far. That didn't get very far. It did move a little bit, but it did move with a little bit more action than we had before. But that's close. I want it to be just slightly more powerful than that. Just slightly. I don't know if I can look up mechanisms and try to make something that flicks properly. Or find a better solenoid. Find a solenoid that pushes out with that kind of force. Because right now, it ranges from pathetic to pathetic. That was a good shot. Okay, so maybe if I can just make the mechanism a little bit more repeatable. The lack of repeatability is... That's not bad. That's actually almost doable. That's almost usable. Obviously, I'm not going to use any of this stuff, except maybe the solenoid. Hey, what's up, Niano? But if it knocks out an emote at that rate, to be fair, I kind of want it to be a little bit more powerful than that, because that's not here. Let's back up so you guys can see. Like, that is pretty good. It doesn't quite get it to camera height arc though. Yeah, and the more I angle it up, the worse it is. So, okay, maybe we need to full stroke, point it up a little bit more. Yeah, that barely makes it out. Well, okay, that gives me a little bit of that gives me some data points to act on. How do we do like a mechanism that could grab something and pull it back? Because if we just put like this tiniest of the springs that I have on something like that, you know, like a dart gun. Let's go to Thingiverse and see what they have. Let's see if we can find something that looks like sort of the mechanicals that we're looking for, something we can print out. Lethal dart gun. These don't look lethal. Come on, Thingiverse. Use the Force, and it's Darth Vader on the shitter. Some people should not have access to CAD programs. Just a gun. Just the wall art of a gun on Thingiverse. Okay. Here we go. Tip your Nerf darts with a potentially blood-drawing... What's this one? Caboose? How do you work? Nah. Okay, I'm gonna have to like take a good look around and just see what I can find in terms of like mechanisms that'll do that flick, right? It could be a variety of things, and maybe just finding a big Horkin solenoid to do that job. I don't think I have anything on me, you know, in my shop that'll do that though. And if I'm doing the method that we were kind of looking at here, where if I pull something back and I hold it with a solenoid, it means I have to be putting energy into the solenoid when I release it. So when I turn off that machine, it'll throw an emote out. Yeah, it's back. It's back. And it works. It works fully. We got it totally running. We have it on Node-RED. And if the chat message contains... No, that's the wrong one. If the point redeem is equal to fart, and yeah, if it's equal to fart, we take the text and we set it into the message payload. Then we see whether or not it is between 0 and 9, or otherwise it gets set to 0. So then 0 to 9 goes into the ESP8266 through MQTT. We just send that over, and then we parse it out of the MQTT return on the ESP, and we react to it. So depending on the number of the fart, you can choose an individual fart, or you can choose 0 for random, or put your own text in there and it'll just be random. So, but it works, and it works in exactly the way it used to. Now I have double-sided tape holding all the electronics on. Hopefully in like a year, everything doesn't fall out of it again. Because that circuit was still a little bit janky. That was the weird part about it, is at the end of it, some of them didn't work. And the reason that they didn't work was they had cold solder joints on them. You know, that board is super cheap, and I didn't spend a whole lot of time attaching stuff to it. I tried to be careful to make it work, but there were cold solder joints. And so I refreshed the joints. They might still be cold. I don't know. They might just happen to make an electrical connection. But when the circuit board fell off of the hot glue, it banged around, and that actually knocked the very, very barely made joint apart. And that made those channels fail. So I went back in, resoldered it. Now it works. Just keep it toasty. Heat cycling might be enough to kill it, though. Do I have anything else with that can like kick a little harder than this thing? Not really. I think, what else would you do? I mean, you want to use like one of these little ones that puts barely any force into it if you were going to have like a release mechanism that's set off directly by the solenoid. And you could come up with all kinds of mechanical multipliers that would do that. It would just pull something and that would release it, and then you'd reset it with something like a motor. I've got a linear actuator. I don't think that's really going to come in handy. What would that be? Because I'm thinking like Nerf here, where you pull something back and it hits the catch. You pull the trigger, it pulls the catch away. Then the spring flies forwards and it knocks into the thing. And then, well, it creates pressure, and then the pressure throws the dart out. I'm thinking that mechanism, but modified. Do people have like an semi-auto Nerf gun, that motor reset Nerf gun? Motor reset Nerf. They do have that, because that was that turret. There was a little turret, desktop turret. I threw it out. Fuck. That was something that somebody gave to me on like a 2009 Reddit gift exchange. And they saw that I did technical stuff, and so they sent me this like USB powered auto turret, and I kept it for such a long time. It would some kind of a mechanism inside of it. Let's see how much those are. Let's see how much those are. Just buy one. Really? It didn't like turret. USB dartboard, no. USB dart launcher. This is looking a little less safe than I had anticipated. I don't think I want to give chat the ability to put a dart in my fucking neck. That's not what I'm... Ballistic dart launcher. What are we up to? What is this section of Amazon? This one comes with potato chips. Oh, it's rubber bands. Okay, rubber band launcher. That's a little bit less horrible. Jeez. No. When I said dart, that's not what I meant. It's not what I meant. It's like 20,000 points. Kill the streamer. And I'm like, chat, hey, what's going on? And I die. Okay, so I will not be doing my version of the Nerf nuke, because I think everybody's done those to death, and they've all figured it out already. If I did a Nerf nuke, it might involve thousands of springs. USB foam dart launcher. There we go. And we still get the death darts. What happened? It was a little square thing. Okay, Amazon saw me linger on the page, so now they're like, hey, you know those death darts you looked at? You sure you don't want to purchase one? Turret, I think, is... Oh, no, it came up with something. There was one where you could aim it. You could aim it with USB. Yeah, foam dart, USB or foam. Computer. Just put computer on it. Computer. I'm still getting the death darts. Nerf turret. Jesus Christ. These are tactical plastic toy for Nerf rival battle games. Foam bullet ball G Renade. Oh, blocked term. Elite blaster rack. Oh, Jesus Christ. What have we gotten into? Amazon's going to be so confused. I was sent this thing on a gift exchange, and I'm looking for it again. It's a little blocky little turret, and it shoots foam darts at you. It had 4 darts, and there was a mechanism inside that would pull back a plunger against the spring. So I want to steal that mechanism and turn it into something that's going to kick one of the emotes at me. And it doesn't have to be that powerful. It could literally just barely arc and hit me in the body. That's all I want it to do. But I don't know what the search terms are to find it again. USB Nerf. I do not think USB means what you think it means. None of this stuff is anywhere near. Maybe they just don't sell it anymore. Do any of the Nerf guns electronically reset themselves? I'm guessing there probably is one. It's just going to be hard to find. USB controlled. Turret, 330 degrees, rotating tank. Large 45-degree climbing car, $117. And this little girl is really excited about it, I guess. That's not what I'm looking for. USB controlled Nerf foam. USB controlled foam. That's that foam airplane. Those look kind of fun. You can fly those like at real slow speeds. USB controlled launcher. Okay, now you're just tempting me, algorithm. Now you just tempted me. I actually don't want something electronic to throw the ball for Willow because she loves returning the ball directly to my hand. I'll put my hand out and she'll extremely happily run the ball all the way up to my hand, and then I grab it and we do a little tug of war, and then I throw it again. So I will not be buying that thing. Thank you very much. That one's for a golden retriever. That won't work at all for Willow. That one's for a corgi, though. I guess corgis are a lot more popular than I thought they were. RC crawler, gesture sensing art. That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, I guess it's just not a thing anymore. It's been 10 years since that product existed. It was this little square turret, and with USB, you could... Wait, what was that thing? Oh, it's sneaking in results from previous searches just in case. It's like, are you sure you don't want that Akai? Professional APC Mini with no price tag? Are you sure? You're looking for toys again. Drone launcher airdrop system. Huh. This is a little... It seems... All right, so yeah, it doesn't either. I just don't know what to search, or it doesn't exist anymore because it never sold to anybody. I don't know. What the hell are we getting into? These are weird. Cool RC Flytech V500 RC boat fishing bait boat fish finder. What the? So it's like an RC boat that you go and bait the water with, and it tells you if there's fish there. Paper shredder. LED confetti launcher, blower machine with lid, DMX remote control for wedding, $1,400. Okay. I thought at first it was just a regular, like a little desktop, like miniature confetti machine. We should be so lucky. All right, anyway, okay. I don't know what's going on. I'm not searching the right terms. I would need to search for the right thing. We were able to make something that was kind of close. Buy the confetti machine. It's $1,500. No. No, no. I mean, we got kind of, we got kind of close. We didn't end up being able to make something that was like totally chat controlled, but I wanted to kind of get an idea, just an impression of how powerful we can get a little solenoid like clicking machine. And we used simple machines. We used a fulcrum and a lever in order to get the force, or rather get the force multiplication from this little pulling device. It is a weak pull though from this thing. Possibly a larger magnet, a larger coil. That was pathetic. That's because I didn't make good contact. See, possibly a larger coil, but I want something that's going to actually have quite a bit of force, because I would like to actually make it launch from a hopper. So this thing would reset, and then another one falls down in the absence of the first one, and then the next one's able to get launched. Cool. And that could be some kind of form of a spring just pushing a plunger suddenly into the back of the hopper. Like, that's not bad. We could work with that, but if I can make something that's small and does the same job. I mean, honestly, I think this thing might have done that job if it was that type of solenoid. If it was open on this side and this was a longer pin and it went like directly back, it might actually have that amount of force to kind of push the thing from behind. Maybe not. Maybe I do need to get just a massive coil. Actually, let's look. Hold on a sec. What can we find? Again, on the cursed site. What? See, this is very similar to the type that I was looking at, that I had somewhere in the shop, and I don't know where they are. USB rocket launcher. Aha. No. Desktop. Somewhere in these results. Here. Somewhat like this. A little different, but currently unavailable. Similar to this. Oh, this is why I'm broke? Okay, let's try the this is why I'm broke link. No, that's just my whatever it is number. That's not a docs. You guys can come to town, but I'm not letting you in. So $30 for something like this. And this is the one that I was looking at. This thing, basically, it's just a little air launcher, right? But it has something in it that's resetting the air plunger. You can hear it go click, right? So looking at that, perhaps I could just steal the mechanism and we could turn this into something the chat can control. Interfacing with USB, nah, I'll just put a motor controller on it. Yeah, there's no point in going back. You guys would be able to predict it by like the day-night cycle and the airplanes going by where I was located. When I tried to be cagey about this stuff, you guys guessed my birthday down to the day, based on the references that I made, which is a little too much for me. But people have not been so crazy since then. They've been a little bit more, they've allowed me to be more private. And, you know, knowing my zip code, that's not going to get you here. That wasn't bad. If I could get that consistently out of it, but, well, this will not be strong enough. That's what I'm worried about. Like, this gets us the mechanism so that we can twist and aim up and down, I think. I don't know. This thing is kind of old, too. So we could probably come up with a better one than that. We'll have to think about this a little bit. This isn't like a primetime project. This is something for just like bringing out for having fun. And since we got that layer of chat control, I wanted to do something with that. If the solenoids ended up being strong enough from the get-go, we probably could have switched gears and quickly done a spin-off of a little microcontroller robot that would set it off. I have a couple Wemos D1 minis that I could maybe put that to. But wait a minute, let's look at a solenoid. If maybe I could like get a solenoid. What if I put kicker on it? That's going to be pull push electronic actuator, 5 newtons. How many newtons are we going to need in order to punch this thing up into the air? What are these? Standard motor products. Oh, the solenoid in a car that is designed to create the sparks that set off the explosions in the cylinders. That is not the type of solenoid that we need. We don't need a solenoid to open a valve. We just need a solenoid that's, I don't know how many newtons. That's the thing. It seems like they are classified by the number of newtons. Some of them are extremely powerful and others are pathetic and weak like the ones we have. Push-pull, 12-volt, 35mm stroke. I don't know anything about any of these. That thing looks cool. What is it? Camshaft position sensor. Okay, we get into automotive parts pretty quickly. So, I mean, these standard solenoids like this one looks like it's 10mm 5 newton, 4mm stroke. From what I remember, like these can be pretty powerful. But is 5 newtons enough? Or can we get into more than that? 10mm, 45 newtons. But they're like 12 bucks. 20mm, 60 newtons. So, yeah, I used to have stuff like this, and I don't remember what happened to it all. Frequently returned item. Why? Why would you return this? Such a beautiful thing. 3 amps at 12-volt DC. Now that's what we're talking about. I think I'm going to get this, even though it's frequently returned. What do the reviews say? Wait, heavy-duty solenoid with holding time longer than most. I don't care about holding time. Tested the solenoid on 12 volts, worked well. 30 newtons is more force than I need to operate a little sliding trap door, but I need the 25mm displacement, so there you are. Works well. This might be too powerful. In tandem for a small shaker table. They work perfectly. I haven't tested them over a long time interval. The stroke is only 18mm. I need 25. Powerful, fast, single action. Yeah, me too. Solenoid with a large diameter shaft. This would work well if you don't need the advertised 25mm stroke. The solenoid I received only has 16mm of stroke. Jesus Christ, guys. Distance, the drilled linkage holes about, okay, all right. 25, advertises 25, but it's 18. So mostly it's just that they lied about the length of the stroke. But if we have enough of a punch from this thing, that might be enough to send one of my emotes into the sun. It certainly uses a lot more current than the ones that I have on hand. You know, we were dealing with 3/4 of an amp. This is using 3. So if that's going to be an appreciable difference in the kicking that it does. I mean, the other thing that I could do is, if I want to be real ghetto about it, I could rewind the one that we have. But I think getting something like this, and it looks like this, did they say push-pull? Rated voltage, 3 amp, push-pull. So I think the this thing in back, no, it looks like it is just going to be pull. Oh, okay, that is, okay, that's exactly what I'm looking for right there. That little thing shoots out, and it can flick an emote at me, flick one of the plastic emotes at me, and then return, and then another emote falls down from the hopper. That's what we need. Okay, it's 20 bucks, come on, 16 bucks. Oh, but it gets here tomorrow. So let me just go ahead and order that for myself right now. That's way more money than I wanted to spend on this project, but oh my God, wait a minute. Free overnight delivery. Oh my God. Oh, $2.99 fastest or free 1 day. So it either gets here tomorrow and I spend $21. They make you make these little decisions, right? I'm getting nickel and dimed. Okay, so maybe we get a solenoid by tomorrow. Maybe not. Either way, we can revisit this with a bit more power because my parts archive, there we go. My parts archive does not include powerful solenoids, even though I have encountered powerful solenoids while, noodling around with electronics and collecting parts. They've just fallen by the wayside, and so I don't have them on hand. We will have one on hand that will be powerful, and then we'll be able to actually get an idea of what the mechanics of this thing are going to be, and whether or not it's feasible. I think it's feasible. We can build the electronics. We can make it chat controlled. That's if we get it. Otherwise, we can work on other stuff. We've got plenty of stuff. I need to do something with Node-RED that responds to subscriptions. And then, of course, we have sponsored AutoCAD ads that I need to do to keep my copy of Fusion 360. So we can make a hopper and a little emote flicker. See, the shape of these is going to be interesting because when you stack them on top of one another, these edges may tend to get entwined if something doesn't fall evenly. If it falls and goes to the side a little bit, that could lock in. We've jettisoned all of the emotes away. Hold on, let me go get. There's one under my foot. Put my foot down. This is going to be the worst part about the emote launcher is that I'm going to have to retrieve all of these things and they're going to go all over the place. So if you've got two of them like this, right, and the one below it flies away, this one can tend to get entwined with the one below it if it doesn't fall evenly. It has to fall evenly, and then it can get possibly slid out from the one above it. And of course, that's more forces that are going to have to be overcome by the kicker. I mean, that's not bad. Whatever number of newtons. Wait, did we get... Actually, wait. Did we get the number of newtons from their data sheet? GF, 12 volt DC, 30 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds, blah, 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 blah. 1 kilogram force, 30 seconds, no abnormality happens. What? Huh? 48 hours noodle salt spray. What? Okay, that's rusting. Their power grid, 16 ohms, 9 watts, on off. Yeah, they don't have a Newton's rating on it, which, it probably is very, it probably depends on a lot of factors, how many Newtons you rate this thing at. Mounting plate. Yeah, all mechanical stuff. Force, greater than 300 gigaforce? I don't know what that is. 300 GF to newtons. 100 girlfriends to N. 300. So that's 3 newtons. The one we're getting is how many? 20? So we're going to have a significantly larger amount of force behind this thing to the point where maybe we're going to want to pull it back a little bit and give it a little bit less of like a shorter hit to figure out how to maybe not make it blow up or penetrate skin with a plastic emote. Go big or go home, We have 3 newtons and we were able to multiply that up. If we go directly from something with like 10, maybe that'll be just enough of a punch that it'll launch it properly. And that'll significantly simplify the amount of mechanics that I have to worry about, since this stuff is going to be all 3D printed. Everything is going to have ridges, and ridges don't like to slide up against one another. They like to lock it in. They don't, you know, this direction is kind of difficult to get stuff to slide. So if I stack them like this, and I've got something that comes out there like a bat out of hell, it'll kick it away really fast, get out of the way, and then this will drop down even. Every time. It'll never fail. Never, never. Not in a million years. All right, I think that's all the time. That's all the stuff that I have for you guys. Everything else is going to be me just spinning my wheels, and I don't want to get into programming today. Maybe tomorrow we can make a robot that will flip a MOSFET, and that we can put on the coil, and we'll just do that on the breadboard. Real fast in a hurry, right? Because we got all the code, we know it works. All we need to do is spin off a channel point redemption, and then we can have that solenoid kick, and we can just, I don't know, just make a stack with some maker beam or something. I'm trying to go quick on this because it's just a little distraction. Something that we had in our head that was a little too juicy to leave alone. It was too neat of a project, right? So we'll get into that tomorrow. Here is the my only social media. It's all I got. I'm on B-Ski. The last thing I posted was an advertisement for my stream, which I don't like doing just because they're not good posts. But nobody likes them. I get like two engagement things for each post I do. But dog pictures will probably end up going up on Blue Sky sooner than later. If you really are champing at the bit to look at dog pictures, you can check out the pet section in the Discord, because that'll be a little bit more consistent for that sort of thing. I'm guessing that everybody is streaming right now, right? That's usually why it gets quiet in here. Oh yeah, everybody's online. Everybody online, looking good. Oh, with Long Drive. I see. Okay, I see what's up. I see what's up. It's Star Citizen. A lot of good-looking games. All right. Well, I'm going to let you guys dissipate to where you would go. Find your own corners of the internet. Where does one find the Discord? That's the link that's just above you in chat. The Discord GG/SEHQ capital W9 capital Q. Yeah. Okay. I'm done. I'm going to get out of here, and I will see you guys tomorrow. And hopefully I get a 7 a.m. delivery for that solenoid. That would be very nice. Be worth the $4 extra that I spent, which I feel kind of slimy having done that, but stream's got to go on, right? So we'll see if we get that, and then we can figure out the triggering mechanism for the whole thing, which I have a lot of experience with, and I can hopefully teach you guys some stuff. And we will get together then. All right, I'll catch you guys